Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks, we'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We've got your back, no wreck. We've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way.
Oh, it makes me so happy. You know what I just, oh wait, stop playing. You know what I just noticed about this song? Hi, welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, by the way. Sorry, but you know what I just noticed about our theme song is, listen to the first line. Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where the magic happens live. Okay, it says it wrong, but that's okay. But then the second line, every Friday we're on air testing tech to thrive. So what that means is that the last word in the first line and the last word in the second line are supposed to rhyme. Thrive, live. But somehow—
Maybe it's thrive.
What?
Maybe it's thrive.
Oh, maybe that's the problem. Right, it should be thrive instead of thrive. Is that the Canadian pronunciation? No, it's not. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen. Good to see everybody. Oh, Irma's coming in. Let's say hi. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. Good to see you. Irma's okay with me. I just let her.
All right.
So you were at, you were watching Black Magic, huh?
I was watching Black Magic, for the last
Holy Holy moly.
Absolutely.
I didn't watch it, but when I saw your message in the chat, I went to the website. Holy moly. Is this true?
Yes.
Like new?
All that page is all brand new.
This is just ridiculous. Oh my goodness.
And there are some features currently that are still in beta, coming in a couple of months.
Unbelievable. I mean, if you've got $32,000 lying around, I don't know why you wouldn't get the new Cintel Scanner G3 HDR plus 8/16.
Especially if you're into, 8mm film.
Especially if you know what that is, which I don't. But it's good to see you, Mike. You'll if there's more about this, you can. I mean, there's a million more, but you can
Absolutely, we can talk about that later. But yeah, we'll definitely get back to. I want to see what you're up to this week first.
Yeah. Hey, Frank, how are you, sir? Frank, you're at work.
I am not unwell.
You're not unwell, but you're at work. You're not at home.
When I'm at home, I'm working. Working
Oh.
takes place in the mind, not in a physical location.
You're absolutely right. Sorry. Fair enough. Good call. Tony Mobley, my friend, how are you, sir?
I'm great, sir. Good to see you. It's been a long time.
It's been so long. Hey, Equip Institute, who watches every week, decided to comment. Good to see you. I don't know who you are, but it's really nice to have you here. Oh, it's Florence. Tony, you know who that is.
Yes. Yes. And you know who that is too. That's Florence.
Lovely. Welcome, welcome. And Mr. Drinkwater's over there, aka Lord Zoom, pretending to be very, very busy.
Well, busy I am. Relieved I am that we are now back in sync for our summer times, because it threw me last week.
I remember back in November, I think, or maybe it was October, when we first started, you first raised issues about timing with regard to Zoom meetings or something. It's all fixed now? Or was it just your basic confusion about what time it was that was the problem?
The basic confusion is that summertime doesn't start and end at the same time all around the world. So there's 1 week, as there was last week, when there will be half of the world is going to be in summertime and another half's going to be still back in wintertime, and it just gets very silly.
Very confusing. Well, I'm glad you finally caught up to the rest of us. It's good to have you here. How are you? Welcome back.
Thanks. I'm doing well, David. Nice to be here. How are you doing?
Thank God I'm doing really well. Those are really sharp looking sound thingy dings behind you.
Thank you.
Those are great. Where'd you get those? Do you remember?
My husband got them from some place that you're supposed to outfit your studio in with these boards. I don't know.
Nice.
I just work here, David. I don't ask a lot of questions. As long as the tech works well, I'm happy.
and that is not always a given. So
Yeah.
good to have you here. Peter Sargent, oh my goodness.
Yeah, finally the time worked out for me as well.
Good. You're very soft, by the way,
Oh, well,
on our meters there.
let me crank that for you.
I'm also yelling, so I'm going to stop yelling now, and maybe we'll even out a little bit.
Is that any better?
Oh, that is so much better. Good to see you, Peter.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Who else is here? Peter Sargent's here. Frank, John, Robert's hiding. We missed you last week, Robert. Good to see you.
I just wanted to show myself. I'm looking a little bit different today.
Wait a second.
What are you, a school crossing guard?
The story. What is happening?
I went to witness how they film test crashes for cars with cameras at 1,400 FPS, and it was absolutely amazing. And this is the sort of outfit you have to wear: goggles, the works.
Oh my goodness. Why did you go to see this? That's so much fun.
Yeah, we were doing the event for the organizers, but they wouldn't allow us to film the test crashes themselves. And they provided their own equipment. The cameras are absolutely amazing.
Are they really? Amazing. Wow.
And it happens so fast, David. It just happens and it's done.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So-
fantastic. This needs to be your new, you need to like just capture this picture. This is perfect. The
Yeah.
blue hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my friends said this is what you should wear all the time because people should know that when you come on the scene, they got to be careful.
I was going to say there's going to be a crash.
There's gonna be a crash, exactly. Something dangerous is about to happen. I'm so happy to see you. Lois Richter is here. She just popped in. I'm not going to pick on her yet because her camera isn't on, but we're happy to have you here also, Lois. Okay. Quick update before we just jump into anything else that people have. I spent entirely too much time this week. Like, the amount of time for which you might call a medical professional, that's how much time I spent waiting for the new Zoom voice recorder feature in the app. So just the backstory for those of you who are listening and may not know, we were promised before this past Monday, we were promised that there is coming down the pike this new tool, a voice recorder that you will be able to use. It will be in the mobile app, and you turn it on when you are in a person-to-person meeting, a face-to-face meeting. It records the meeting just like it does in Zoom, although you don't have video on or anything like that. It transcribes the meeting, and then AI Companion will give you the notes and the highlights and the to-do and all that other stuff. Very exciting. In fact, before I'd even seen it, I pitched it to the company I work for. I said, we're going to be using this. Then on Monday, we got Frank, are you about to spoil the ending of this story? Okay. We got to Monday and we got the release notes, and the release notes said, here it is, guys. But it wasn't there. We got the release, but it wasn't there. So then we waited, and I reached out to just about everybody in Zoom that I know saying, where's my voice recorder? And they said, oh, it takes a few days for Apple to update, to accept the app. And okay, I can be patient. I'm a man of God. Wednesday, we finally got the update, and it still wasn't there. And that's when I lost my mind because I was so excited about this. And I went on the Zoom Champions team community, and I went to Andy and everyone, and I was getting different answers, but we finally got the answer today, the official answer today. And the official answer is, David, you spent way too much time waiting for this. You'll get it when you get it. The official answer is they have updated the release notes. And specifically the piece they updated is this feature will be rolling out to accounts over the next few months. So
you had they punted and you got caught.
yeah. What I had heard on Thursday was that late April. So I don't know what the holdup is. Maybe someone else knows something I don't. But apparently, there's what Andy had suggested, and this may still be the case, is that there is a web setting that also will need to be enabled, and that hadn't rolled out yet. But I have I don't know. We're not going to get an app update again. It's going to be something on the back end that one day we're going to open our Zoom app and magically we will see the new button at the top.
Assuming the web setting has been set.
No, this is a Zoom product.
No, I said assuming you've been able to set.
No. No, I'm sorry. I was referring to John in the chat. John said this is not a Zoom product. This is a Zoom product.
Okay.
It is not wholly owned or used by Zoom. They are using third-party technology. Zoom does not have its own AI division as yet. They use third-party tools.
You mean AI Companion?
AI Companion is a product of Zoom. AI Companion code is not totally written by Zoom, and anyone at Zoom wants to challenge me on that, they're welcome to try.
Oh, no. That's I thought
there is a lot of technology in the
voice
background,
recorder.
and I think that's the biggest problem for rolling it out quickly, David.
No, fair enough. I have no idea what the problem is. The voice recorder, though, is a Zoom product. It is part of the Zoom app. It's not an add-on. It is using third-party technologies. Absolutely, 100%. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Yeah.
And
So
don't forget, you've got a version of it sort of already in Zoom Phone. So if you're using Zoom Phone as in the Zoom Phone service, not anything else, then there is already recording capabilities, and it gives you that sort of note-taking background, the same as you get when you complete a meeting.
I didn't know that. Thank you. That's great. Frank, did you want to? Were you pointing us to the updated release notes, or?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were up to date, so I was gonna throw that in, but you had the whole story, so carry on.
I try to be up to date. By the way, the Zoom website I think got a little bit of an overhaul. It looked different to me when I went to it. Like this kind of moving around stuff looks new to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looked. This looks the same. But I think they may have given a little bit like all this. See that how that kind of did that. That looks all new to me, but maybe I just haven't been there for a while. So in any case, we're waiting for that question. What for when we? I jumped off with a thing before I even asked anyone if we have other things to chat about. Lois has got something.
Lois had someone come, my partner on the radio show, come and be very upset because we were recording our radio show as we do every week. And we got about 40 minutes into it. And he said, "What? It says I don't have enough room for this." His computer is running out of room. And so his question to me is, how can we get an audio only recording out of a Zoom meeting?
So yeah, so let's before we go around the room here. So I'm back in my Zoom account here, and I'm going to go ahead and schedule a meeting so that we can look at what the recording options are. And so I've got automatically record meeting right here. There's no other specific options about how to record here, but there are recording settings on the back end. And so record to computer files, internal meeting participants. This is who can request permission to record. So you can record audio only files to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be in addition to the MP4 video.
Do you have to?
I believe you do.
Allow, if
Not
I
clear.
uncheck that, if I uncheck everything else, I mean, it lets me just choose that.
But a cloud recording is always a video.
Well, I'm not sure it is what I'm saying.
Well,
I mean, if I say I don't need active speaker, I don't want gallery view, I don't want a screenshot, I don't want.
No, David, just a minute. You unticked record active speaker with shared screen.
Right. I unchecked.
That's an option. That's an option. Otherwise, you always have active speaker.
Yeah. Active speaker without shared screen.
Is
Oh.
by default, yeah.
Oh. Thank you. Okay. That's
so
interesting.
I know that we can have, so whenever I record for our show and I record it on my computer, I get a video file. I get an audio file, which is just the sound from the video file. And then because I have chosen it, I also get two separate files, one for him and one for me. So if I need to, I can make my own audio if there was something wrong with if our microphones are too out of sync or whatever. I mean, I don't mean sync, I mean your level. But I don't know of any way to just get the audio without the video. I don't think I can. I think I'm going to have to be the one recording it and then sending him the audio file.
Particularly since you're recording it local to your system, as opposed to a
if I
cloud.
did it to the cloud, it doesn't matter. It would still be something I would have to do.
Yeah.
Well, but you could just on the back end say record audio only and then just delete the video.
There is no audio only. There is audio in addition.
No, you when you click audio, record audio only files, you're going to get two recordings. You're going to get your active speaker recording, and then you're going to get, I guess it's an MP3, I don't know, an audio only file. So you could just delete the video, and then you won't have, that won't be taking up space, and then you'll have the audio left over.
So what I'm saying is I have to do it because there's no way for him to record audio only.
Sure there is.
No, there's not.
He doesn't, it's not his meeting.
It's not his meeting. Anything that goes to the cloud, I have to deal with.
It's not his meeting, right?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
If you're having an audio only meeting, you don't necessarily need to use Zoom. There's other ways to do it.
Well, we like to be able to see each other because the interaction between the two people on the show, it doesn't work right if we can't see each other's faces.
There's lots of ways to record Zoom's audio outside of Zoom on your operating system.
That's true. I could just do a screen scrape and do that.
Are you on a Mac?
Yep.
Lots of ways to do it. Audio
Command
hijack,
F5.
loop back. There's lots and lots of different, there's tons of applications that'll capture your system audio.
Audio
Zoom.
hijack will record us.
Oh yeah, it'll hijack that audio.
Okay. Yeah. I'll tell him he has to learn a new thing.
I mean, it may be depending on what you're looking for, the quality that you need. You know, the audio that comes through Zoom is pretty compressed, and so if you can do a double-ended recording where he records his audio locally, you record yours. I don't know if this is something that you want to do. Then you can kind of sync them up and put them together. You'll get a much better audio recording.
It's a radio show, and so it's going to be coming over people's car phones and stuff. It's not going to be really high quality, but Zoom does a good job of adjusting our levels, so we're pretty close, and we have figured out how to use makeshift meters with audio hijack.
I put a link to Rogue Amoeba in the chat for you. They have lots of. They make audio hijack and a bunch of other audio products.
Rogue Amoeba. Our friends at Rogue Amoeba.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Equip Institute online on YouTube is asking if you add the one-person business license, is the sessions license included or separate? So what she's
separate.
It is separate indeed. Just for folks who don't know what we're talking about here, there is in some places, not in Tony. You should check again. By the way, I'd be curious to know if because the last time we checked, Tony didn't have the option, so I wonder if that's changed in certain parts of the world.
I checked today; it hadn't changed.
Oh goodness! Look at me, guys.
Mine now the 10 still has a 10 user minimum.
Yeah, but it did
not last week.
Right. Let me go incognito and see if that's interesting. Huh.
Mr. Lord Zoom strikes again.
Look at that. They killed it.
Yeah. I've heard from various places the rumor, David, is that they're not going to keep it open forever.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Well, that was fun while it lasted. I wonder what's going to happen to those folks who got it.
Well, again, the usual tradition is that you stay on what you're paying until you stop paying it.
Sure.
Right.
Oh, you got it? You got the one person? Good for you.
I've still got it available in my part of the world.
Yeah.
Canada is still available.
Yeah, they're wise to us, David Rady. Excuse me. Florence, you should check if that's still available. If it is, so this is, we've seen this before where Zoom, first of all, it takes them time to roll things out. And they don't, it's not evenly, so it doesn't hit everywhere all at once. And it doesn't necessarily stick for too long. Yeah, if you grabbed this, good for you. If you didn't, and then you'll need to get the 10-person license, but you don't need a business account to get sessions. Whether you have a business account or not, sessions is separate. You can go to the plans and pricing, hop on over to webinars and events, and then here you'll see Zoom sessions. And depending on what your goal is here, if you're going to be using sessions, you may want the monthly subscription. If you're using this as a way to take advantage of the liminal apps and things like that, then you'll want to change this to the pay per attendee. And that's how you get that $100 for the year. But that is separate and it's an add-on. Lois, go ahead.
Weird. When got a one-person license, okay, can she add a second person? And do you have to be physically in the same place? Or could she add a partner across the country? Go ahead.
Add to what? Add to her org?
Yes. Go ahead. Turn your mic on. Talk to us.
That's a great question. And I think the answer is yes, I can, Lois. I believe I asked something. I believe I asked about this when I found the loophole, which was like last summer. So because I just clicked on to zoom.us, and on the Canadian side, I still have the 1 to 250 business users.
Yeah, they like the Canadians more.
Yeah. Somebody's got to like us, David.
Because of those tariffs. That's what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I can, Lois. I haven't tried, but I think I can. Because I asked them, does it have to have the same, is it a business email, an organizational email that everybody has to be under the same umbrella? And the answer was no.
Well, no, the answer to that is definitely no, because I have a whole bunch of different emails in my org and none of them, some of them are connected, but because my business account, it's all for me, but I have different businesses that I'm a part of that I use it for. So you could definitely invite people from outside. You know, I would be interested, and then Robert and John, please, I'd be interested to know if you got in on the one license deal and it ends and they turn that option off and you want to then add a second business license, I wonder if they will say, nope, no, it's either you can stick with the one that we gave you, we'll grandfather you in for that. But if you want to make any changes to your account, you have to go up to the 10. And I don't know what they would say about that.
So I guess my question, not to but just in general, is can we have 10 different human beings doing 10 different things in 10 different places and come together and temporarily make an organization, it's the 10 Club, and get one license for 10 people, but each have a portion of that?
Well, it's against the terms of service. You're not supposed to do that.
So that's what I wanted to hear. It is not, it's not kosher.
You can't have one license for 10 people, but you can have one organization with 10 people sharing a business account of 10 licenses.
Yeah,
that's what okay. So what's
no, but
no.
Technically they're all supposed to be really part of the, like, you can't resell.
No, but we could make an organization, the party of 10. Why not?
If I buy 10 licenses on my organization and you repay me for your portion, I don't think that's a big problem.
Oh, I see.
I'm not a lawyer.
I'm reselling because you have a company that I'm not part of, but maybe I could make a club. I don't know. Hey, Robert.
Robert and John.
Talk to us about.
What I'm going to say has already been deleted, so you didn't hear it. But just get onto a VPN and you can buy the license in any region where it's available.
What's a VPN?
A virtual private network allows you to get an IP address from a different place than you're physically located.
Ah.
You could do that.
Might become Canadian.
I'm not, Frank, I'm not, I'm just going back to the business thing. I'm not entirely convinced that that's kosher.
What mechanism is there for them to know that you've remitted money to me through e-transfer?
None. You're right. None.
There's a difference between being right and being findable. I mean, they may not be able to come after me, but if what I'm doing is wrong, it's still wrong.
Look, I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, let's get on to something else. Did you have something, Robert?
Well, I just said what I wanted to say, and I didn't say it, and no one heard it, so we can move on.
No, we heard you. VPN it up. You know why we're not paying attention to you anymore?
You're not wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you put the hat on, we'd all be paying attention to you.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
That's the.
I know John's waiting, so I don't want to change
John
subject.
is waiting patiently. Well, John's sorry, I'm going to get my hat so we can be twins.
Well, I hate to be a sourpuss, but it's taking a license out of your area is against Zoom's terms of service. Sharing accounts is against Zoom's terms of service. It doesn't mean that you have to be all in one domain name. If you're an organization, for instance, Toastmasters International has a load of speaking clubs, and I know in each country they set up one account, and then all the directors that look after all the various regions all get their own account, and that's all under one umbrella. That's fine. So if you're part of a same organization, if you're an organization in whatever way you define yourself to be an organization, and you get the licenses for that organization, that's fine. If you're trying to get your friends on and things like that, that's in dubious territory. And don't forget that you're also got the limitation that if you're all under one account, then you're all going to have to play by the same rules that the head of the account sets up. So if they turn off particular features, you're going to be stuck with those.
That's not.
And this gets
true.
more complicated when you start adding other things like recordings, and then who's responsible for paying for the recordings and events and sessions and all those things. So we're not recommending you do it, I think is what I'm trying to
quibble with
politely
one
say.
thing you just said. You can set up groups in Zoom, and you can have different privileges for the groups. So you can have different settings. So you could have groups of one, and each person could have. The administrator would have to set it up, but you could have different settings for groups of one.
If I'm not wrong, the only function that you can't allocate to a group that I know of is if you have your own dedicated domain or a vanity domain, then it's across the board for everyone.
So interesting that I'm just logging into my account so that I can show this to you, because when I did this, so like I said, I have an org, but I have a number of different companies, if you will, that are part of that org underneath me. So when I first got this, I set up, let me see if I can show this to you without, am I revealing anything? I don't even know. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I set up a personal link because my org is Torah Tech Guy. Then what happened is, without me realizing it, everyone else, that became their domain also. So no longer were they zoom.us. So, and that I didn't want that. But the workaround was, and now I have no idea how to get it, but the workaround was to set up groups, I believe. Yeah, here it is. So, right, exactly. So I set up 2 groups. One of these groups is using that domain, It should be at least. I wonder if I can. Here we go. Right. So I have a bunch of accounts in here, and they use that domain, and the other groups uses a different domain, although I'm not entirely sure what I set up for them. Or something to that effect. But yeah, that was a thing. I'm going to look and see if
Between groups and roles, you can give a lot of different
yeah.
scenarios to people.
And the other thing about settings is that even as the org leader, so this is the admin account. On all these things, I turn everything on because I want to play with everything, but I don't lock almost anything. And so individual accounts can come in and they can do whatever they want. As long as you don't lock something, it's not a problem. The storage is an interesting piece of the puzzle. If for whatever reason you would need different members of your org to pay for storage, because my understanding is that storage is not per account, but it's not per user, it's per account. I'm not sure if I'm using the right lingo there.
It's all the things, David, that are usage based. So if you had the phones turned on and people could make calls, anything that has a usage charge is a potential problem in that scenario, because you as the account holder have to pay the bill.
Right.
And if Robert spends the whole time using up his storage or making lots of phone calls, he wouldn't, of course, because he's such a nice guy, then you would have to pay the bill, and then you'd have to go back to that person and get the money off them. So there are potential problems.
So the workaround, this is a terrible workaround that I've done. So I have for one of the businesses that's on this org of mine, we need a lot of storage because we have weekly things that we do and we record them and we want to keep those recordings. But I do need that to be separated out financially from the other people. And so what we do is, because storage is a monthly charge, I keep that credit card on for the monthly charges. And then each year when I know that the renewal is coming up for the plan, I just swap the credit card out. You cannot have two cards on, by the way. So you have to actually swap the card if you need a different form of payment for different services. It's not clean and 100% it's messy, but it is what it is.
David, within the groups itself, when you define the groups, you can set the number of days when the recordings are deleted automatically per group. So that's a way of managing and controlling the usage of your space in the cloud.
Mm-hmm. So here is, I jumped into, I'm in just one of the two groups now. And if I go down to data to delete cloud recordings after a specified number of days, if I turn that on, it'll be on for all group members. I'm not going to do that because I don't even remember what group I'm in. But yes, you could do that by group. So groups are really powerful, very powerful.
And don't forget, if you delete, it goes into the deleted bin, and you've still got access to it for up to 30 days.
Right.
I say up to 30 days because you'll always get somebody who said, "Oh, it was 30 days ago and it was deleted yesterday by Zoom." So up to 30 days. We'll be careful. You can tell I've been on the Zoom the Zoom forums recently, getting all my answers in.
Right. Hey, Herm, go ahead.
So, because this is my first time attending, I don't really know how this works. Meaning, do you have things that you that you want to share with us? Okay, so if I have a question or two, I'll just start with one question. I can ask a question.
Right.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. One of them is for a registered meeting. and I've done the Zoom chat, the live human help, and I'm like, no, I just don't believe that no is the answer on this one. But when you schedule a registered meeting, right?
Wait, clarify, what's a registered meeting?
Sorry, a meeting
For
with
which
meeting
people have
registration.
to register?
Registration, yes, sorry, yes, that where people have to register, right? There is no way. So if David, you're my client and I'm hosting this on my account, right, for you, and I take care of everything, I set up the meeting, la la la, there should be a way for me to send you the link to join the meeting without you having to register for the meeting. Doesn't that make sense? And
It does
You're
make
trying
sense,
to
but
apply
you
logic
can't.
to business.
but to my understanding, it can't be done. And I'm just like,
Correct. It can't be done, but it can be done.
Thank you, John. That's what I'm looking for. I'm like,
Okay,
that
so
doesn't make sense.
here's the not simple answer. It can't
Right.
be done by you unless you run a webinar, because only webinars you can invite people.
Yes.
However,
Yep.
however,
Mhm.
if you have the ability to write code, or you know a company that has the ability to write code,
Yeah.
it is possible through the what they call the API
Yeah.
to send a message to Zoom and register somebody. So if you have, now let's see if I can get a good list of names here. If you have Calendly,
Yeah.
TidyCal,
Mhm.
Zoom's own scheduler, or any other scheduling program that has integration with Zoom, those programs can do a scheduling with you, but can also then register those people automatically on Zoom. So programmatically, you can send a message to Zoom and say, please add my client to this meeting, but you can't do it by going into the normal Zoom website and do it. So if you're having meetings like I do a lot of the time, and I use all of them. So I use TidyCal or Calendly or Zoom's own app, and I will send them a link and they can then book themselves in to a schedule, or I can book them in to a schedule. I can have that automatically talk to Zoom
Okay.
so that when I set the date and time, or they set the date and time, it then pops over to Zoom, creates a meeting in Zoom, and registers everybody for that meeting.
Thank you for that.
Robert.
Yeah, if you listen to John, John's a very gifted programmer. I'm a very impatient person, so I don't use programming tools. However, there is a tool called Zapier, and Zapier is a tool that allows you to integrate and exchange data without being a programmer. So you don't have to program it. You just configure it. And the two ways of doing that, you can either import the whole list through Zapier and it'll go into Zoom, generate the links that you want, pull them back and do whatever you tell it to do with them. In other words, it can send out emails automatically, it can do whatever you want, or you can pull them back into your CRM, or if you're using a mailing system, into the database there. The other way to do it is if you're using a form to register these people, like if you've got someone and you want to physically register them, put in their data, then you can just use Zoom, put in their data, put in their emails and send it out. But keep in mind that registering in a meeting is different from registering in a webinar. Okay. So registering a meeting means you've got the link, you go in, and before you can get in, you have to put in your name and your email address. Okay? It doesn't mean that you have a unique link. And John showed me this. John is the person who showed me this. I wasn't aware of that. The link that it generates is not unique. It's all the same link for everyone who goes into that meeting. The only way to get a unique link is to go through a webinar or through sessions.
Got it. Thank you. I thought my workaround was I said for our early log on, I said, I will start the meeting and then I will send you up top the invite link. And I thought that would invite them directly to the meeting, but it still invites them to register for the meeting. So anyway, thank you. Yeah, it's very.
I'm a little confused. I mean, both of those seem like the solutions, but why don't you just register him?
Well, they can register themselves. It's just.
No, but if he's the client, what I would do is when I'm setting up the webinar,
Yeah.
or excuse me, the meeting,
Yeah.
I would just sign him up. I mean, just put his name and email in, and
Yeah, I guess
you're done.
I guess I can.
I don't know, that was my. I mean, Frank is pointing out that there is a managed registrants and an import from CSV.
Yeah.
I guess what you could do is you could create a spreadsheet with just his name on it and upload it. But if it's just one person, it seems to me that couldn't you just?
It's 3 on the team, but yeah, thank you. That's a great
So maybe
workaround.
right. So maybe what
Thank
you
you.
do then is you create a spreadsheet of those 3 and their information, and just keep it handy. Just keep it downloaded, and then you just boom that and upload it, and then you're good to go.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Lois, go ahead.
Well, I already answered this question. I don't understand why you don't just have people register. I mean, if you're requiring registration, you must be wanting to get information. That's the only reason I know of to require registration. So why wouldn't these people just register?
Yes, because they are my client. So I'm taking care of everything on the back end. They're not using their Zoom. They don't even have a Zoom account. So I'm taking care of everything. And I think the suggestion of just importing their names on a CSV file is, it was a pain for them to have to register for their own event. Yeah, it's just like, come on, really? So yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That really is it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but it sounds to me like that's a limitation, not of Zoom, but of Zoom meeting. Because with webinar, the assumption is that there are speakers that you will want to, register on their behalf.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Gotcha.
There's a lot more management possible through webinars, and even more when you get onto events and sessions.
Do you see this is just, does anyone imagine a day when meetings and webinars are, instead of 2 separate products, they're really one thing, and there's just a toggle switch? Today I want this to be a meeting, tomorrow I want it to be a webinar, but we actually have parity when it comes to the functionality and the even the back end stuff. I wonder if
they're pretty close now, David.
Sure, but because they are separate beings.
Yeah, well, they are literally just a switch between Zoom. In fact, if you want to be really have a laugh, you can create a meeting, and then you can convert it to a webinar.
And you can convert it the other way too.
And then you can take it back.
You can.
And if you want to really show off, you can then send it to Zoom sessions and turn it into an event.
How do you do that? That's interesting.
There's a little thing at the bottom when you create the meeting. On that, right below the line where it says edit, at the bottom of the page you get, there's a little one-liner that says, do you want to convert this to a webinar? Or do you want to convert this to a webinar to a meeting? So create
those
a new
that can't see it, please remember, if you haven't got webinars as a option on your account, obviously you won't see it. So that's the ones that are going to feel lost now. So, but don't worry, it is there if you have a webinar upgrade, or if you have.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
That's great.
So the difference between a meeting and a webinar at this time is rather substantial as far as the participants go. And so I actually don't see merging them, because people know that in a meeting you can participate, and in a webinar you're blind, deaf, and just listening. So I don't think that
I don't agree with that, Lois. I have a client that I work with, and we have a meeting. It's literally a meeting about quarterly, and they call it a webinar, because in their meeting, no one else speaks. It's just them. And so they think of it as a webinar, and they call it a webinar consistently. And I correct them every time, because I'm that guy. But they.
But that's why they call it a webinar, is that people aren't speaking and interacting.
Right, but technically it's not, is all I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I still think that people's perceptions are going to be important.
Sure. Absolutely. Robert, did you want to jump in?
No, I was just going to mention to that one of the if you this isn't really applied to the situation that you're asking about, but if you really need a tight meeting where people are required to register and you have complete control, I often run a webinar without starting the webinar and make all of the people I invite panelists. And so you can have the full registration process, you can do whatever you want to do, and you don't have, you're tricking the system by getting the panelists. The only thing that
You're leaving it in rehearsal mode.
yeah, you just leave it in rehearsal mode and you're running this whole session there where you've got the control of who's coming in. The danger of that is that it's actually a meeting because the invitation link that goes out to the panelists is identical for all of the panelists. It's not unique.
It's not
And
true.
for webinars,
For webinars, for panelist invitations,
correct.
they're absolutely different, because when people share their panelist webinars, oh, you want to come in too, and they share that, they both come in with the same name. The name that is put in when you're registering people as a panelist is the display name. Their display name doesn't come up.
Yeah, thank you for that. But what I was going to say is that that can happen, and the only way to get around that, to stop people from sharing, is there's an option to allow the panelists only to come in on one device, and that stops them from logging in multiple sessions into the same event.
Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
Hey, so my first reason for coming in is to say hi to my friend Erm. Hi, Erm, how are you doing? And second, yeah, I've talked about it a lot of times. There's a lot of terminology in Zoom that doesn't necessarily either make sense or distinguish between things. We have the word sessions that we use in a variety of meanings. We have meetings and that sort of thing. But Robert, the other thing that I think, if you really want to have something that is locked down, that is to check in the security section, authentication required. Tell people they have to have a Zoom account, they have to be logged into their Zoom account, and that's the only way they'll get in. I think we know that you could just set up a meeting and leave the waiting room on, and only people who are properly identified would get moved in. The Zoom Test Kitchen has been bitten by that on occasion, where someone professes to be, Mike's keeping count, professes to be someone and you let them in. But I mean, it's the same thing when you go to your door and open it up after someone rings the doorbell. Well, wait a minute, you have to have a means to deal with those intruders.
Up
But yeah,
until 3 weeks
authentication
ago,
requirement.
right?
Yeah, authentication required is the real way to enforce that.
Yeah, that was up to about 3 weeks ago because we tested it here in the Zoom Test Kitchen. You can bring in people from the waiting room into a breakout room and see who they are before you put them into the meeting. That is really cool. And I remember, do you remember when, I can't remember her name. There was a girl who came in from Zoom in the security side, and we had a discussion and said, what would we like to have? And we said, we'd like to have a little window where we can peep into the waiting room and see who's in there, who's trying to get in. And that's what they did for us.
We have it. Yeah. Interesting.
I'm trying to remember her name now. I invited her in.
I know you did. I don't remember her name though.
Robert, why what you described before about using a webinar as a meeting? I've used a meeting as a webinar, right? You turn on focus mode or you put your settings together the right way. And the reason I would use a meeting as a webinar is to not have to purchase webinar. Why would you use a webinar as a meeting?
That's a good question. Personally, I just like webinars, but that's I have a preference to webinars. But the main reason would be to be able, the options of being able to import all of this data into meetings is fairly new. It wasn't there all the time. At one point, you could only import CSV files into a webinar. And so that was the main reason I started doing it, because I wanted to be able to import a group of people into a meeting with registration. But yeah, that was the main reason.
Gotcha. And Frank is saying backstage and invitations also.
But you don't get backstage with regular webinar. You have to have sessions.
Oh, it's just sessions. Okay.
But once you have it, then you can use it in your webinars.
Right. Gotcha. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a use case for using a webinar as opposed to a meeting. The house of worship that I'm working with typically is, well, it is a meeting, and they are resistant to moving to webinar. Their argument is that they want people to be able to be free to express themselves and all of that. My argument would be that we invite the majority of the people in the webinar that are participating in the worship service. And then when we are not broadcasting on YouTube, invite all of those other people in. The problem that we're having is that there's a lot of noise. There's children in the background. There's music. There are people with dogs. There's all kinds of noise that we're getting in the worship experience. And I'm just getting a lot of resistance when it comes to moving from the meeting to the webinar, and I'm not sure what I can do. And at this point, basically, I have resigned myself to letting it be as it is. But I think that we would have a more enriching service if it was a webinar. All of those people who were scheduled to participate were invited to the service. And then at the time in which we are not broadcasting, and it's just a Zoom participants, that anyone that's in the meeting would be allowed to share and speak. So that's kind of my take on why that might be a good way to go.
Robert and Ray?
Yeah, but Tony, the people who are attending the service, should they be allowed to speak at random, or is it that something they request to speak and you allow them to speak?
Well, in our case, there is typically call and response. So something is said, and the congregants want to be able to respond to what is said, to amen what is being said. And so they don't want to lose that feature. But at the same time, do you want to continue to have children playing in the background while one of the ministers is speaking? It's, to me, it diminishes. And we talked last night about Zoom fatigue. It kind of diminishes the experience for other people who might be participating in the service. And but my hands are kind of tied as far as that's concerned.
If I can just share one use case with you, that there's one of the events that I run, which has over 1,000 participants, and it's a meeting. And we do not allow participants in that meeting to unmute their mics. However, there is a point where they all should be able to do that, and we just toggle that off, and they're able to come in and unmute. However, it does require that the participants can unmute their mics if they want to speak. So if you have a minister that's speaking, you can quieten the whole place down by muting everyone's mics and leaving the minister with his mic open. However, the fallback is that when you do want them to respond, they'll have to unmute their mics before they can respond. That's the drawback on that.
Ray and Lois.
Thank you.
We can't hear you.
That's because I had clicked my Alt A before, and when I clicked it again, anyway. Tony, I get it. There's a want and a need to participate in these services. And it's difficult to change people's perceptions and attitudes. If you really wanted to be able to have really great audio in sort of that production oriented, not really produced, but formal part of the service, in a webinar, the idea would be to sort of provide some training and education to people for appropriate means to actually give feedback and show them how to use the reactions and that sort of thing. And to see in a webinar, I don't know if you've ever been in a webinar when someone's, image is there and 4 or 5 or 15 or 20 people all either click the heart or the applause or whatever, and they all crawl up the screen, and that has some real emotional effect on people who are watching the audience and that sort of thing. So you wouldn't in person allow people to have dogs and kids running around and that sort of thing. You would ask people, please, this is how we react here. If you want to say amen or any of those sorts of things, we're happy for you to do that. But leave the dog at home and ask your kids to be quiet. And because it's a Zoom meeting, not quite the same thing, but try and get people to understand that there's a difference in the way audio is produced in Zoom, and that the noise is disruptive to other people like they would be in person.
So
Let's go for it.
we have done in this, we have a daily meeting to pray for peace, which was going on for 3 years. And one of the things we have done is to get everyone to mute, but allow the spacebar option. So if they want to say amen, you teach them, you push the spacebar down and say amen, and then you let it go. And that cuts out all of the background noise except when they have that spacebar pushed. And as soon as they let go, their mic is silent again. And so that it would take in teaching and training people about the spacebar thing, but it's a possibility.
You're assuming they're on computers. Most of them are probably on phones or iPads, if I had to guess.
Well, whatever. Anyway, so that's one idea.
It's a great idea for computers, though.
The second question is, does Zoom have the capability of making the population be softer and the presenter being higher? I mean, I can see where if you're setting up, and true, I work on a computer, you can go into that audio list and audio settings, and you can slide the little slider, whether it's high or it's low. And if you've got most people to have their audio not terribly loud, and you got the pastor to have their audio higher, louder, then you would have their speaking would overcome the background noise a little bit. I'm not sure if that's how Zoom works, but I think that would be one thing I'd try.
I think you'd actually have to educate the users to set the levels themselves, as opposed to let Zoom set the gain automatically, because that's the default for Zoom, because it's trying to level everyone's voice.
Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to be transparent and say that we have people coming in on landlines. We have people coming in on phones. Uh, there is, let me just say this. I'm 67 and I'm a youngster amongst this group. So that should tell you something. There is not a lot of investment, and they're happy that they are able to engage with one another in Zoom, and they're satisfied with what it is right now. I'm the one that's the problem, in that I'm not satisfied, and I recognize that I'm the one that has the problem. And having said that, the problem for me is that if I claim to be about the things that I claim to be about, and I don't do the best job that I can to represent the God that I claim to serve, it continues to be problematic for me. And I don't want to claim to represent a God, and I know this is not a religious show, but I can't not want it to be the best that it can be. That doesn't diminish the authenticity that the people have in terms of their engagement. But at the same time, David wanted a great temple for Jerusalem. He didn't get to build it. And so maybe that's the situation that I'm in, that it's just not going to happen for me. But I can't stop trying to work on getting better. And I recognize, David, this might be my therapy moment.
No, it's good. I love it. I'm going to come to Robert and Lois in just a moment, but I really quickly, since Lois mentioned the space bar, someone on YouTube, forgive me, Mike, who was it? I lost the name.
David Brady.
Fred. No, Fred was asking, how do you turn that on? How do you toggle that? And so if you go into your Zoom Zoom app, click on your profile pic in the top and choose settings. You can also do this when you're in a meeting. You can just open settings and go to audio and scroll down. You will see at the bottom as one of your options here, press and hold space key to temporarily unmute. And so when you toggle, you can toggle that right there. Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, just one thing, one caution there, David. The app has to be the active window for that to work. If your app isn't the active window, in other words, you're multitasking,
you'll just be spacing.
You'll be just spacing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I just want to say, David Brady and on YouTube mentioned something that I hadn't thought about. You could just use OSC and create, David Paskin will love this option because you can use a Stream Deck and set up buttons that will allow you to have the pastor speaking and no one else, and then everyone speaking, and you can switch their mics on and off if you make them agree to allowing the host to manage their microphones when they come into the meeting. So that's the other. The downside of that is there may be one or two people who absolutely don't want to have their mics on throughout the session, and you'll go and switch their mics on automatically, and then there'll be trouble.
So, since you all are making fun of me, let's just get it out of the way. This is what this is what I want.
How many of those do you have, David? Do you have them already?
Yes.
David, can I just put the context of that? David is one of the few people here who can, who is a touch typist. He doesn't look at it. So he can have hundreds of Stream Decks and just touch type without looking at what he's pressing.
Yeah, that's what I want. John, you're working on an app to do similar. You want to tell us about that?
Well, I'm playing with the Zoom software at the moment, and I'm looking to do some things in camera mode. Camera mode means basically overlaying things over the camera feed.
Like
So,
the
like the video filters, but to do it in a program. So I've got a logo or two that I've programmed in.
yeah. There's an app.
There are many apps. There's
Yeah.
about 4 in the marketplace at the moment that do various lower thirds, but I have another use which means I want to do the similar thing.
Nice.
But it did strike me that if you could have, hallelujah, amen, and icons like that, you could get those to come across the screen and get a feedback from the congregation without interrupting, the actual speeches.
Where is, I'm looking for, Jeff here. So there was a question on, thank you, Frank, for, Ray, rather, excuse me. Thank you, Ray, for posting this. Do you want to talk everyone through this or?
Yeah, I was trying to search to see, what is the maximum number of audio streams that Zoom will actually put through at one time. I could not find a definitive citable source other than Jeff, the former David Paskin of the Zoom Test Kitchen in 2022. And it basically says Zoom is not going to use everybody's audio to feed you audio. I think we've all been in group discussions where 8 people's mouths are doing this, but you only hear 1 or 2 or 3. And maybe 3 really is the limit of the number of mouths. And Tony, we could unmute everybody, but people are only still going to listen or be able to hear the loudest 3 people at any one time.
Really good point.
Just keep in mind that Ray did say the loudest. Okay, so if you have a dog barking, the dog will probably be the loudest at that point.
Unless
Tony, I'm also curious. Do you actually have a person that you designate or multiple people that you designate per service that do the response? Or are you just expecting the congregation to do so?
No, there isn't any specific person that is going to do the call and response. That's part of the maybe charm of it, is that it's open to everyone to respond, and it's stated in the service. You're allowed to say amen, but please go back to mute. It's stated. It doesn't always work. So
question, and maybe maybe we're getting out of Zoom land into religion land, but just why is it important for other people to hear each other's responses? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, would it be?
It really isn't. It really isn't. It's really about affirming.
I can see them saying amen. I mean, I wonder if there's a different way to get that feedback, which is valuable feedback. Audio is just the hardest, thing. I mean, maybe ask people to do are there praise hands in
Yes.
I don't even know.
Yes, you can put your hands up, and you put both hands up, and both hands come up on the Zoom screen.
Yeah.
It is not most of the occasion when these issues occur is when the preached word is being shared. And so there is the availability of everyone who is listening to whoever is the preach word spokesman for that particular Sunday to respond. And they are asked to respond and then go back on mute. But it doesn't always happen. And so I'm not in control of the meetings. A lot of times I'm added as a co-host, but it's not my meeting because it's the church's meeting. But I do have the ability sometimes to mute people, but sometimes I'm not quick enough,
Sorry, can I just butt in? Did you say that people should be on mute unless they are responding, Tony?
They should be muted unless they are responding. They should.
Well, that's the key. That's the key. All you need is to set up an with using OSC a stream deck that will mute everyone except the speaker when the speaker's speaking, and then physically unmute him when you want people to be able to respond, because they have to go off mute. They have to unmute to be able to say the amen or whatever it is that they want, and then mute them all again.
Right. John, go ahead.
I know what your reaction is going to be, but I'm going to say it anyhow. When COVID first hit, and I was running Toastmasters meeting and competitions, there is obviously a big difference between doing it all in a room and all the hubbub and then being chucked online. So I recorded myself clapping at various different speeds, and then I mixed them all together and I created some applause tracks and some feedback tracks. And they were very effective for two reasons. Firstly, of course, if anyone had tried to clap, it would have been seen as a background noise. So most of the people would have been muted by Zoom. So their claps would never have been heard. But the fact that I created a clapping track, which I then used during the meetings, meant that other people, they started clapping, even though they didn't know they weren't being heard. They were all clapping, and it did create the atmosphere. So I think in these situations, sometimes a canned response might be useful. Obviously, there's enough people in a religious context. There's got to be enough people in the room at some point who are doing the responses. Maybe having 3 or 4 versions of their responses that you play on a. So it's not exactly the same thing every time. So you've got 3 or 4 versions that you play, can actually create a good atmosphere in any type of situation. And I've done it in other meetings. So we've had business leaders all coming in and speakers speak. And if I put an applause track at the end of the speaker's speech, suddenly the audience have all started clapping and joining in.
That's a really, really interesting idea, Tony, to have a sound effect of people saying amen, which gives the preacher the feedback they need, and gives the participants permission to say amen along with that on their own, but no one needs to unmute. That's a really, really interesting idea.
That was the reasoning, guys, that I was asking if Tony had someone specific. I know in different religions, they will actually have someone specifically designated that automatically, should the congregation be really small that day, so that the priest understood that there was an amen or variations of such would happen. And that designated person would be mic'd up. And in this case, you could actually have that specific person be unmuted during the whole service, and then they would actually be doing it. But other people, they would just have to time it well. And again, this is very much from the broadcast world too. This is where you will hear a lot of what we call canned claps, which is equivalent to what John did at the appropriate times, where all of a sudden you hear woohoos and you hear your claps, and you would have all those different types of tracks.
The infamous laugh.
It's like that.
Lois, go ahead.
Okay, so respond to John's suggestion, and if I was in a church service, I would know the voices of the people who are going amen, and I know that's so and so. So I'm not sure how well that would work in a small group. What I wanted to suggest to Tony is that everybody who comes into the meeting gets that message saying, will you allow the no, that's not the right message. Never mind, no message required. But something that says, if there is background noise on your microphone, we will mute it. If a dog barks, they're muted. And then have a couple of co-hosts just, keeping up on it. And so if someone's not got a squeaky chair, and it's okay if they're not muted. But anyway, so that's a thought.
I would like to say thank you to everyone for their comments. I have a bigger problem, but we have to. I don't want to monopolize the meeting, but I will say this just to keep this in the minds of the Zoom Test Kitchen. So eventually, they plan to move into a building, but they want to do Zoom as a hybrid service. They want to be able to, based on everything that's going on, I don't think it's a good idea. I would love to do it, but they are sort of, pushing the envelope that they think that they want to have hybrid service. The focus is on moving into a building and continuing to share on Zoom. And I'm not asking us to talk about it today, but I would like to talk about it down the line in the near future.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Tony, are the attendees during this service all online, or are there no people in the church itself?
We are not in the building. That was the last time they were in the building was prior to COVID. When COVID hit, they were no longer able to go into the building. And during COVID, there were some things that happened to the building. The building had to actually be torn down as of last year. The building was torn down. The intention is to build a new sanctuary on the existing property. And we are having conversations about continuing to have the Zoom service as a part of the worship experience. The problem that I'm running into right now is that I'm saying, okay, let's build in the infrastructure so that the wiring and all the things that need to take place are in place prior to building the final plans for the sanctuary if you are serious about doing hybrid worship services. And I'm getting I'm getting a little bit of a pushback from the standpoint of they say that they want to do hybrid, but the urgency is about getting the building built. So it's kind of like, no, I won't say it's kind of like. What it's like is they want the building to be built. They want to do hybrid services, but hybrid services is secondary at this point, I would say.
Just show them how much it'll cost to do it afterwards, because that's usually the killer.
Yeah.
What was sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, and of course, Tony, you and I have talked about this even on conversations with Tony Mobley. We talked about this as well. So I definitely, your input now before the building goes up is most important. And as soon as the walls get covered up, the cost will go double. That is basically fair to say, because they have to rip everything out or hide it behind, or it might not look as nice where you have wiring all over the place. So definitely the more you can put into it now during build, the better off you will be.
There are also some decisions that need to be made along the lines of, do you also have locally amplified audio as well? Right? If the pastor needs a speaker, mic with a speaker just for everyone in the parish to hear, everyone in the sanctuary to hear, right? How you tap that audio and send it to Zoom makes a big difference.
I agree.
Because you can get some really odd reverberation effects if you're not careful.
Thank you all.
What else do we have?
All quiet. I can share something that I discovered, and I feel so silly for not having discovered it earlier, David.
Ooh, what's that?
You're a big Google user, aren't you?
I am.
I usually have about 5 browsers open over 2 screens, and in each browser, I have about 25 tabs open, and I can never figure out where I have a specific website that I want to go to. And they're usually apps running in these websites. And I just discovered, thanks to Grok, because I asked Grok, how do I manage this? That on a Mac, if you go to your Google browser, on the right top hand side, there's a down arrow key.
Yep.
And if you click on that, there's a search tabs option. And you just write in what you're looking for, and it'll take you straight to the tab out of your 150 open tabs that you're looking for. Did you know that, David?
I no. But I never have that many tabs open. So
It's amazing. I just wanted to share it because I feel so dumb that I never knew this. It's so amazing.
that's fantastic.
Wow, he's right. Wow.
Yeah. Well done.
I have less than 100 tabs open on 50 different windows, and yeah. Wow.
It's on the right hand side on a Mac, on the left hand side on a Windows machine. So it's just so unbelievably clever.
And it's got recently closed at the bottom. It doesn't
Thank
give
you,
me
Lois.
how many tabs there are, though.
I don't think you need to know that. You just close them all if you don't need them.
Oh, Robert, it turns out that in that little list, and the list comes down, if you go over and hover over one of them, an X shows up next to it, and you could close the tab without ever opening it. That's incredible.
It's a beautiful function. It's incredible. And once again, this is the beauty of using things like ChatGPT or X. You need to understand how to ask it to help you and not to tell it to do something. And it's a really mind-changing position to be in. How do I do this? Tell me what to do to get to this point.
And I'll throw a third into that. Ask me questions if you don't understand what I'm telling you.
Have any of you played with Manus? That's apparently the new thing. It's invitation only. Somehow I got an invitation. Let me see if I can get in here. And I don't.
For generating music, songs.
Right?
What is it used for, David?
No. It's just a like a lot of other places. It is a generative AI. So so I gave it, I needed a kid-friendly version of something Jewish, doesn't matter. So it shows you what it did. It researched the portion, starting research from here, executing, it's writing code as it goes, it's researching. It created a to-do.md. I don't even know what that is. It researched. It went to all these websites. These are good websites that it went to. It clicked on different it clicks on different elements. It scrolls down. It's supposed to be, I think the difference here is that it's able to actually be agentic, rather than just screen scrape, basically, or learn from. It's able to click on buttons and actually take actions for you. Apparently, you can only do like 2 of these a day. I think there's the here's the. So here it's showing us what it's doing. I'm sorry, this is a Jewish example. I didn't. So it's updating its plan to simplify the language for elementary children. I don't know. Well, when I'll let this work, and when it's finished, we can see if it did okay.
Sorry, David, did I understand you correctly that it's doing keystrokes on your behalf?
Yes.
So it's like entering your bank account number and accessing your bank account on your behalf?
I hope not. It is on these web pages. If it needs to click through to get to something, it's able to click through. That's how I understand it.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
When it says where it researched, do you have any option of going, oh, not that one, that's not a good site?
I have-
And
Yeah,
don't
I have a feeling I could type down here and say, hey, please don't, use that. I'm gonna just let this finish so that we can actually see if it does anything. But by the way, just as a Maniset, I am. Thank you, Mike. By the way, just as a follow-up, so last week I had talked about we were talking about team chat and how I wanted to try and use this. So I learned a little bit more. So what I was able to do is I created spaces. So I created a dedicated space, and then I created a couple of, just like you would in Slack, a couple of channels in here. And I did invite people. None of my people have accepted my invitations yet, but I invited external people, and they were able. So I had to invite them to the channel, and then I put the channel inside the shared space. I set this up on one account. I was able to make myself, this is my personal account, I was able to make myself an admin of this. So as soon as some of my people get on here, I'll be able to test this and see how it works and actually play with the chat feature, which I'm excited about. We'll have to see. So that's that. It's still working. What else do we have? Yes, Zoom team chat. Sorry about that. Zoom team chat.
So I know David said in not getting an announcement of something he was expecting. Did you get any announcements in the past week? Has there been any changes in Zoom that you want to talk about?
Sorry, say that one more time. Changes.
Have there been any updates or changes in Zoom in the past week that you want to talk about?
Well, we opened the show by talking about the big change, which is that what I was waiting for isn't coming right now. But
that was it. That's the only change.
As far as I know, that's the only. Ray, and did I miss anything? Are there any other updates that happened that I missed?
I subscribe to about a dozen different things, and there are always something coming out every day. Some of these, keep in mind, if you subscribe to the release notes, are just taking, oh, we're going to have a release on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, they go in and update and say the release is completed. That's done, and anything, they're textual, moving things, titles around, but not actually textual changes to release notes. What I do when I get these is I actually I copy and paste them into Microsoft Word, and I do a compare from one release to the next. And that's how I've caught that there was a whole section of release notes accidentally deleted when they did one of these updates. They completely took out a day's worth of release notes when they reformatted, the one that had just happened. And I passed that along to the Zoom documentation people, and they said, oh yeah, we'll fix that. And on the next update, it was fixed. So yeah, I look for those things that are, gosh, they have a release coming out next Monday, and they say these are going to be in it. And then all of a sudden those release notes are changed, and you don't know what's actually changed. And that doing that comparison, goes, oh, they added something, or they pulled something out and didn't say they're pulling it out.
That's what happened with the voice recorder, and the only reason I knew that the what was changed in the release notes is because in the Zoom Champions channel, someone said, "Hey, the release notes are going to be updated." So,
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know Tony has his hand up, but Ray, you know there's an easier way to do that? If you go into, I use Grok, but I imagine that all of the Chat GPT type models can do this. And because the release notes are in public domain, ask Chat GPT to do that for you.
Interesting. What has changed from between yesterday and today? Or okay.
Yeah, from the last two release notes, what's the difference? What has changed, or what was there and has a date changed, or whatever specific you want?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony.
And I'll let you know, I mean, one of the other things that I do real quick is in my Outlook, I actually have it pop up anytime it gets a notice of a release note, and I've got 3 of them that have popped up today.
3 what's popped up?
3 release notes that I'm
Oh,
tracking and following. Let's see here. Something from Zoom Phone, something from Zoom Workplace, and something from the web. So I haven't done a differences of those yet, but maybe I'll see if Perplexity will do that for me.
go ahead, Tony.
I wanted to ask, I record all of the services and they're converted to MP4, as we all know. And I've been saving them to my personal computer. Most of them I have moved from my computer to the Google Drive, my Google Drive. The church has a email with a Google Drive associated with it that we are paying for extra storage on. Is there a way for me to capture everything that is on my Google Drive, send it to the church's Google Drive without having to do it one at a time?
Well, yeah, you can. Well, the problem is you might temporarily have a space problem, but yeah, you can highlight them all in the browser when you're going to your Google Drive. Go to the Google Drive through your browser. You can highlight them all and say copy, make a copy. This is the safe way to do it. There is an unsafe way to do it, but make a copy and then click on all those copies, highlight all those copies instead, and then click on organize. And assuming you have access to that other Google Drive, you can say, show me everything that's shared with me, and you can go over to that Google Drive and paste them in.
Okay.
Now, the unsafe way is just say organize, highlight all those files, say organize, and go to the new Google Drive and put them on. I am not one of those people that is a complete believer in that method, but it does work.
The one thing I'd add, Peter, is it's helpful if everything that you want to send over is all in a single folder. And then you can make a copy of that folder, right click or whatever, make the copy of the folder.
I don't think you can. I've never been able to successfully make a copy of the folder through the web interface.
I'm not a big Google Drive user, but I know you can do it on Dropbox. So
yeah, but Google Drive, I've never been able to do that. I know you can on Dropbox, but on Google Drive, because I've got the same problem. I've got a private Google Drive and then an organizational Google Drive that I have access to.
And be sure that before you do this, that you log into the church's drive and make sure that there is an appropriate place to put it. So create your folder or your structure or whatever before you try and do this so that you have a landing spot that's easy. And if I were to do it, I would not do all of them at once. I would test it out. Maybe do 3 of them and see if they showed up and if they came over clear, just because I don't trust computers.
Thank you.
Tony, I do it a slightly different way because this is something I do. I log into, for example, into your church account, and then I share the folder in your personal account with the church account. And then when you go into the church account, you can see your folder, and you tell it to move that whole section or whatever it is, folders, group of folders, to a different location. You have to use the move option in
Right.
Google Drive. Yeah, you can't copy it like Peter said. You can't sort of do a click and drag and drop. There's a move option there that you can use, but you need to be in the main account where you want to move it to, and you need to have that folder made accessible with admin rights to that church account.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. It's done. Give me 1 second to show you this, because this is a little wild. So not only did it do the work, but now I can show you a replay of what it did. So this is Mana showing us what it did. And that's done. I don't know if it's any different than any of the other tools out there, but it's kind of cool watching it do its work. That's kind of neat. I enjoy that.
Like getting a donut at a donut shop where they show you how they're made. There's something special about that.
Yes. Yes. Someone just had their hand up. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
David. Yeah, David, I just wanted to go back quickly to Tony's question about Google Drive. Tony, it also could be easier for you once you actually use the Google Drive app locally on your machine, which means that it will look for a dedicated folder. And what you can do then is set up your Zoom client that you're downloading your files to be the same file folder, which is equivalent to when Ray was talking about Dropbox. It's equivalent with Google Drive. The app, though, you need to be running the app locally on your PC, in your case, Mac. And what you would do then is designate the same folder that Google Drive syncs with the cloud, with that account, with the same folder that your Zoom recordings also dump to.
But Mike, doesn't that require a lot of local hard disk space?
It would, but Tony is still downloading all the recordings, correct? Each recording? Or not?
Yes, I do two recordings. I do the recording of the actual spoken word that we do on YouTube, and then I record the entire service. So it's two different recordings that I do every Sunday.
Okay, so
Right.
Tony, let me tell you something. Going back to my Zapier tool, Zapier will allow you to send a Zoom recording across to a Google Drive automatically as soon as the recording becomes available. So you don't have to do that manually.
Can you share that link with me, please?
Yep, will do.
Guys, guess what? We
What'd
just
you break, David?
huge
Tell us.
updates from Liminal just now.
I knew there would be something to talk about today.
I will show you in a moment, but
Oh yeah, there it is.
new from Liminal Zoom Graphics Toolkit. I'll bring it up for us. Build customized, highly interactive graphics for live streams and hybrid events to engage your Zoom audiences using chat, Q&A, polls, and more. Zoom Graphics Toolkit is a self-hosted web application coming soon for Windows and Mac OS. Holy moly. Highlight the Zoom chat, integrate your Zoom audience chat into your event, present audience Q&A, feature emoji reactions, visualize Zoom polls, customize caption displays. Oh
No,
my
it said
goodness.
coming soon.
And it's licensed through the Zoom Events platform. So, yes, it will be the same as, Zoom session license purchase. So it will be the same as all the other Liminal apps. Oh my goodness. Wait, there's more.
Oh yeah.
Zoom ISO and Zoom OSC, new control options, improve the capture engine, include a major refactor of participant management and breakout room OSC commands to improve performance.
I'm
And
more concerned about the next one, David.
yeah, end of sale notice. The web store will be transitioning to exclusively licensed. Okay, you're not going to be able to buy liminal apps anymore through the liminal website. You will only be able to get them through the Zoom Events platform. That makes perfect sense. I mean, it's a much better deal to get it through the Zoom.
But read the rest of it. It says it's exclusively licensing via Zoom Events platform.
Right. No, that's how I use them. That's
Oh, but for those of us who just happen to invest in the Zoom ISO client because we use it 3 times a month.
no, but what I'm saying is that the way that purchasing it through the Zoom Events platform is much cheaper than just getting the Zoom Events, than just getting Zoom ISO. It's $100 a year, and you get all the liminal apps. It's much cheaper. I mean, this makes perfect sense.
Even on just a single pro license?
It has nothing to do with your Zoom license. You're buying a sessions. You have to buy a sessions or events license, and if you buy the cheapest one, which is Zoom sessions, pay per attendee, 50 seats, it's $100 for the year. Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna download all this stuff now. This is 4.6 of Zoom OSC, and let's see. Let me grab Zoom ISO so we can play with that. Well, I mean, we're not gonna do it today, but we'll grab that. And boy, I mean, the big news is Zoom Graphics Toolkit. Wow, 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 wow. Zoom graphics are rendered. Hold on a second. The toolkit offers a flexible in-app editor for creating web-based graphics to use with production systems, along with a powerful engine for managing and moderating Zoom data to use with your graphics. Zoom graphics are rendered as web HTML, CSS graphics accessible via URLs that you can import into production systems or digital signage. This is how oh goodness, overlays.uno works. So overlays, I'll bring it up. Oops, I just clicked the wrong thing. Sorry. Give me a moment. No, go away. No, cancel. Sorry. So overlays.uno, which I use for the show, the rundown. Basically, what happens is if you click on this, you get an output URL. I use that over in Ecamm, but it can be any tool, and then I can bring up an overlay from. I'm not in the right scene, so you're not going to see it. If I go like this, and then I bring up the so that little overlay over there it's just a web. It sounds to me like it's going to be done the exact same way on with the Zoom thing, with this new Zoom toolkit, graphics toolkit. Wow.
This would actually help out Tony a little bit too. This is where you can graphically put up amen.
I wonder what this, speaking of that, I wonder what this icon here refers to. I mean, chat, Q&A, polls, emojis. This looks like translation. I wonder if this is interpretation. Wow. Go ahead, Erm.
Okay, so I still have a question, but now that you've brought this up, David, I'm like,
Yeah, sorry.
no, don't be sorry. I'm like, well, what does this do to?
And I immediately
No, because the question I'm asking myself is, well, as somebody who is teaching herself or learning about eCam, maybe eCam is not the best route to go. Maybe it's, Zoom events and liminal. So now I have all these questions in my head, which is probably a bigger question. But can I get an easy one? I think that
Well,
people can.
let me just give you the one standing on one foot answer to that.
Sure.
They're different. I mean,
Oh.
they really are different.
Okay.
I mean, if you're all in on Zoom and you're using production studio, then you can do some of this stuff, and it's growing. It's more, but the flexibility of a third party system is fantastic, and so much so that Zoom has partnered with these third party systems to integrate Zoom. So this, to me, this will work best when you because all this is going to do is create an overlay that you can then bring in to eCam. So you still need something in between this and your Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Right? This is just creating a web output. So I really think it's both, either eCam, Mimo, any of them.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. That's helpful. My $1 million question to the group is, has anybody here used creating breakout rooms from a poll successfully every time with a large group? So you have like 200 people and they want to choose which breakout room they want to go to and listen to a different speaker and topic. And you do it in a poll and like people are nodding heads. Yes, I'm just too scared to do it because then I don't really have any backup. It's like, it's too late if I haven't curated those rooms. That's my question.
It works. I've done it.
Okay.
And the thing about it is, when you run the poll that is defined to create a breakout room, when you open the breakout rooms and you create the breakout rooms, it'll ask you if you want to create the breakout rooms based on the poll data. And then you will actually see the breakout rooms before you open them. You'll see the layout and who's in where. So you'll be 100% sure that it's going to open the way you're expecting to. The only thing you don't know is, did they actually choose that breakout room? Yeah, because you don't know. What it doesn't have, and I found this a little bit awkward, is that you don't get a report straight away on the poll that you can use to compare with the breakout room setting, because that would be ideal, wouldn't it? You don't have that option because the reports from the polls are generated at the end of the meeting, when the meeting ends, correct? So that's the tricky part, but I've used it. It works really well. The only thing I would be very cautious of are people who don't participate in the poll, because they become unallocated to any breakout rooms.
Which it seems to me, no matter which way you do it, there's always a few people left with you in the main room that you have to allocate. So even if 80% sticks, I would be happy with that result. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah. The other tricky thing that I found when doing that is you get the report of the poll results at the end of the meeting, but if you go and edit the breakout rooms and swap people around or add people, you've got no way of reporting on that, because I haven't seen a report on breakout rooms in Zoom.
Right. So you would just have to remember to take screenshots.
Screenshots is the way I do it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And obviously you are not going to allow people to answer anonymously to the poll because you're trying to get them into a breakout room, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And David is looking at things. Go ahead, Tony.
All right. No, I'm busy installing the new OSC and ISO.
I wanted to ask David about the sessions with this update. So right now, I have a pro account. The church has a pro account. If I were to purchase sessions, would I be able to use it, or does the church need to purchase sessions?
So the way it works is when you purchase a sessions or an events license, it gets associated with an email. And whatever email it is associated with, that's when you log into the app, for example, if you would log into, to just use Tiles as an example. If you log into Tiles with that email that is associated with your sessions license, then you'll have full access to it. And the way you associate your events or sessions license with the email is through the events hub. So let me see if I can.
And I don't have to have webinar.
No.
The pro account will work with sessions.
Nope, you do not. You don't need to have anything. So,
But Tony, the good news is that, and again, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but sessions also, John, am I right? Webinar is in there now? No, maybe.
you have to
I'm trying to
purchase it. You have to purchase it. So
It will only be there if you had an everlasting license, because then you would be able to make use of it. And by the way, your events license has to be attached to a paid for account. So you can't have a free account and just buy sessions. You have to attach it to a paid account, either a pro business or whatever.
good call.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. I do have a pro account and the church has a pro account, but I'm just wondering, do I need to, can I purchase it, or does the church?
If you purchase it on your account, then you can log in and you can make use of those pieces of software. What I find interesting about the announcement is that they have purposefully attached it to the Zoom sessions license, Zoom events license scenario, rather than putting it into the Zoom marketplace where all the other apps that do similar things are there. And I would like to point out, yes, this is the sort of thing I'm doing, but this product, again, doesn't conflict with where I'm going. So that's fascinating. Or the church app, which Tony can now do all on his own.
So this is, I went over to session here. I'll walk you through zoom.us. Okay. So I went to plans pricing. I went to webinars and events. I chose this pay-per attendee. I purchased now. I made sure that I was logged. I assign, there's a certain point you assign it to, so then I went into my Zoom events page. I created a hub, and this is the important part. I then associated my email or the email that I want to use with this hub. Right? So my role in this hub is right there. You can see this email account is the owner. Now, ironically, this is not the email that purchased the sessions license. The email that purchased the session, or the account rather, that purchased the sessions license is this dude up here. That's what I'm logged into. But for you, you'll have one email account and it won't matter. But for me, because I had multiple, all I had to do is associate the email with my sessions account, and now I can log it in and use them. And if I want to, excuse me, and if I want to do a session, I just need to log into Zoom with that email, with the same email. I hope that kind of answers the question a little bit.
It does. I do have another question. So I'm looking at it on my computer. It's saying $99 instead of $100. Or am I looking at the wrong thing?
You got a deal. Yes, you are, because you have not changed it to pay. If you look in the plan, it's here. I'll put it back up again. If you look in the plan, it still says you're still in monthly subscription. Click on that and go down to pay per attendee. Because that $99 is you can see it says per month. You don't want that. I mean, you might want that. And I would encourage everyone to spend more money on Zoom. But for those of you who don't want to, pay per attendee, and that's $100 flat.
Pay per attendee. Okay, so I'm going to switch to that.
Now,
That is
what's the implication if you regularly have over 50 people?
It doesn't matter, because the 50 people is just for a session. So it's a little convoluted. So the way this works is the sessions license. When you have a sessions license, that means you can run sessions, right? So with a $100 pay per attendee session, I could run a session with a Zoom session with 50 attendees, or I could run 5 sessions with 10 attendees. But that has nothing to do with how many people can come to meetings that I run or how many people can attend webinars that I may run. It also has nothing to do with the other perks that I get along with my Zoom Sessions license, namely all the liminal apps. So I can run Zoom OSC or Zoom ISO or Zoom Tiles in as many meetings as I want with as many participants as I want. It doesn't matter. The only limitation of this 50 is if I'm running a Zoom session.
Ah, okay. So I see what you're saying. That's why it works out. Because I was looking at this and going, how is this going to be cheaper? Because
And that's why this is a no-brainer of if you're going to be using any of the liminal apps, and really any of them, this is absolutely the way to go about it. Robert, go
So
ahead.
David, just real quickly, I clicked on buy, and it's showing me that I need to make an annual purchase of the Zoom Workplace
Make
Pro.
sure that you're
I
probably
already have it though.
no, but you're probably not logged in.
Tony,
Oh,
I
that's what it
noticed
is.
when you
Okay.
were, I noticed what you were showing us, you were not signed in. You have to sign in and then do.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
So-
Can I try and answer the question that you asked?
No,
is
no,
whether you
we're
should
good.
buy it as Tony or whether you should buy it as your church.
Good.
It all depends on what sort of production you want to do, because if it's for you, then you become associated with all the luminal apps. So you can log in and you can, if you become a co-host on one of those meetings, you can
Yeah.
control what happens there. Peter, I think you're got a hot mic there.
Yeah, I muted him.
Okay, and if you want to use any of the features that you get from Zoom sessions on a meeting or a webinar, then you need to look at having that on the right license. Okay? So if you are going to be running all of these meetings and future webinars from the church, I'd suggest that you put the sessions license onto the church license. Because then you have all of the additional capabilities of using Backstage for webinars and everything else that goes on, you get from the sessions license. If you're looking just to use the liminal apps, you can do it by yourself on your license. You just need to be a co-host when you want to run them. That's all.
Thank you.
Somebody is playing with new Zoom. Yes. Sorry. I am sorry. I just downloaded both OSC and
So
ISO. I mean, there's for my use cases, the real excitement will come when, and no pressure, Justin, if you're watching, but when Justin updates the companion module to reflect the changes, because that's how I interface with OSC. I mean, it's certainly working as it always has before. But hopefully after NAB, we will get maybe we'll get to play with a little beta of the new graphics tool. We'll see if that's possible. Yeah, amazing stuff. Mike, I'm gonna while I have the mic, I'm gonna pass host to you.
sure.
Make host.
Can I just share something with you, David, before you run off?
Of course.
Yeah. Because you are such a heavy Stream Deck user, I hope you know that there is additional functionality for the Stream Deck Plus if you buy the new XLR extension.
Yeah.
Because once you've got the XLR extension, you actually get to manage your mic volume and your headset volume from the knobs on the Stream Deck Plus.
If, depending on the mic you're using.
It has to be an XLR mic.
Pro, so I couldn't go, like I couldn't connect this to that.
Unless it's an XLR connector, and you go
If you're
straight
using a
into
single
that.
mic, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or you
Yeah,
come out.
David, knowing your setup, I think that you have the Rodecaster Pro going in, right?
No, I mean, it could work. It absolutely could work in my home. And, you know, in hindsight, it's interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. I just got the Streamer X. I didn't just get, a little while back, I got the Streamer X at home because that combines both a video capture card and an audio interface. And it's been fine. I could have maybe gone for this. I don't know. I don't, I'm a set it and forget it kind of guy. Like I can't remember the last time I changed my audio volume or my headphone volume on, you know, I myself have not felt a real need for the knobs, and the larger buttons offend me. Because that means you can, because that means there are less of them. Like, who wants 8 buttons? Come on, guys. So, yeah, I haven't splurged on that one yet, but yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But yes, David, you could, if I don't know your audio routing, how you got everything coming in audio wise, but you could, in Robert's scenario, you could actually come out of the Rodecaster Pro, go into there, and then you're fully can bring that in.
Really, because I mean, you would have to do a line out of the Rodecaster Pro, convert that to XLR, and then go in. But I mean, the Rodecaster Pro goes direct USB into my devices, so I don't. There's really no need. It would be extraneous, and it also wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to control the individual line. Whatever. You don't need it with the Rodecaster Pro. Is the point? But at home where I don't have one, it could definitely work.
I agree. We were just looking some time back at what you can use a Stream Deck Plus for, and that was, I've figured it out.
Yeah.
And also, this setup is really cool if you want to send it to someone, because all you need to tell him then is twiddle the knob on the left, twiddle the knob on the right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am still overwhelmed by this graphics. Bye, Lois. By this, I can't wait till we get that. Holy moly. That just, oh my goodness. Because what that does, that's not about bringing outside graphics in. That's about utilizing what's in Zoom, I think. So, I mean, think of just, that's all about engagement and.
Could it be lower thirds coming? As in,
Interesting. I wonder
meeting.
if.
So Zoom meeting comments.
No, that we definitely have here. Comments you can definitely bring in. Q&A you can definitely bring in. But I wonder about things like name tags. I wonder if the name tag functionality in Production Studio may be built into this also. That's interesting. We'll have to see.
Or that this will eventually get molded in nicely into Production Studio, and this is the beta of it.
I wonder if it's the other way around. I wonder if this is Production Studio for those of us who aren't using Production Studio a little bit. A piece of, I don't know.
If I were to make a wish, I'd wish that this functionality becomes available on the stream output, because that's where you don't have anything. You can't see the chat, you can't see the reactions, etc. So imagine pulling up Q&A that goes out on the stream, and you can put out the question on the stream.
So the way this is built, the way just from reading the release, I mean, that all we've done is read the release. The way I understand the release is that, again, this doesn't work just natively with Zoom. You use this to bring into a third party like Ecamm or Mimo or any of those. And so if you're streaming out from your third party and not directly from Zoom, then yes, you can send it out on the stream.
Or Zoom Production Studio.
Or with Zoom Production Studio, right. Right. Yeah.
And that's a good segue to Blackmagic launching Generation 2 for an ATEM Extreme ISO.
Yeah,
today.
that looked really interesting. Was there a doohickey on that? Did I see?
No.
Oh.
Oh, on the new version, yes. On the
Yeah,
old
there is.
version, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the new version, it's now more aligned. More, if anyone is familiar with, if anybody's aligned with the actual control panel, the ATEM Mini control panel, and I'll remember that name momentarily. They are using similar buttons from that interface that you can actually use with the Constellation rack mountable units. They brought those similar buttons to the new Generation 2 of the ATEM Extreme ISO. And I will let everybody know quickly before I go over to the computer that it is, if you want to do any Q&A question and answers, of course, I will be talking about a little bit about Blackmagic right now. If anybody in chat wants to let me know, I will talk a little bit from what I grabbed just before joining us today on the show when it comes quickly to the different products that got released. But the one that I know a lot of the Zoom Test Kitchen community talk about are definitely the ATEM Mini products. And this would be the Extreme ISO product, more specifically Generation 2. So just give me 1 sec and I will get that queued up. In the meantime, of course, anybody, go ahead and speak. And of course, if you have any questions, let us know in chat. And of course, in chat, I'm going to play a little game with everybody in chat as well. If you write in ATEM, I'll talk about ATEM. If you want to talk about the new cams, we'll talk about cams. So putting cam in chat. And if you want to talk about the new 2110 product that came out today as well, put 2110 in chat and then we'll talk about those. So let's play a little game in chat to let everybody know what you want to talk about, if anything, from the new Blackmagic models that came out today. Oh, is everybody going to be quiet on me while I'm doing this? Sure. All right. So I'm just getting the.
I have a question. I have a question.
Go ahead, Tony. Absolutely.
Do you think that the regular Extremes will be available at a discounted price if you can find them, since the new generation has come out?
Well, the official answer is that if you do find dealers in your area, in Tony's case, US, that are currently still stocking the Generation 1, as they're now calling that, absolutely. Was there anything publicly mentioned about across the board that Blackmagic is discounting Generation 1? Nothing specifically public was said during today. But I did notice that no longer can you actually, and I'll show that here momentarily, no longer is Generation 1 even mentioned on the website as of this afternoon after the meeting, after the presentation that Grant, the owner of Blackmagic, did. So I'll just take you over to the Blackmagic website itself. And the one that I'm referencing is this model right here. That is what the new model looks like. And that will be the new price of it. Does it have additional features than Generation 1? It does. So I'll click on that and we'll go over to there to show you the new differences between each one here. So there's the differences now. So as you can see, even in the great 4 models that they're talking about, the new one has replaced the old Generation 1. So that is what the new Generation 2 specifically actually looks like. And I'll take you over to a little better picture of it. So that is what the interface now looks like. And I will bring that up a little bit more for everybody so that you can see nicely.
It does have a slider, Mike.
Yeah, the new one does, but the old one does not. That was David's question.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's new. All the buttons have been replaced from the old textiled ones that everybody's used to on the A10 Mini Pro models. They are now more the production style type buttons. And again, a lot of these buttons are also similar to, as I was saying, the actual ATEM control panel, I think is what they call it, model. And they took a lot of, even that one has a slider like this one does. So that would be your T-bar. That is their version of the T-bar. It's not a true T-bar like in the broadcast world, but it does have the same functionality. It's very much like an audio slider instead. And as you can see, go ahead, Robert.
I'm just going to say that they've taken all of these audio controls off that just took up a lot of space and were hardly ever used.
Correct. Yeah. So audio, again, what they've done with the audio stuff now is they've actually embedded it. What they've done is now you have to hit a combination of buttons, and I'm not familiar with those as of yet, but you'd actually have to, if you wanted to, you can now actually have full access to the Fairlight audio that's built into all the ATEM models by hitting one of the actual buttons on there, and it will actually allow the turn buttons, the turn type volume type button to do certain things. And it's a combination of buttons now on this unit. And it actually will take away more the need for you to actually be as flexible needing the actual software control software.
But the $1,000 question is, have they put an XLR connector for the audio?
Oh, Robert's ready to see the back. There it is, Robert. 2 XLR combo jacks.
Whoa, that is the biggest change and the biggest request that we've all been making.
And if you want to make sure that if you actually do want to make sure that everything's in sync, yes, everybody, that is a MADI input that you're seeing there. So, let me just see if I can get that a little bigger. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, let me get that out of the way. So yes, so you now can actually have a time synced MADI in. Hold on, let me do that again. Sorry, MADI, that's audio. So you could actually bring your audio in over MADI into the switcher. He did not talk too much about that during the launch. And on top of that too, Robert, you'll notice that we're now no longer, headphone jack is now upgraded to a 1/4 inch versus a 3.5 millimeter.
And it's also got 2 Ethernet ports, and one is a 10 gigabit.
Correct. So the 1 gigabit is for internet and for control. The 10 gigabit is for data to be coming out of there, because you notice right above it, that is a CF Express. So this has built-in hard drive capabilities. I don't know if this, I'm confusing because again, it was so fresh before joining that I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, so that's what it looks like there. So you'll get to see your preview and program on the colors will still be there. The infamous fade to black now, everybody should be very happy. It's hiding over in the far right. Nobody's going to accidentally hit the fade to black anymore when they want to hit auto to do a crossfade. And Robert's laughing like crazy, and he knows why, because he might have done it before. Okay, yeah, we know. It's okay. We've all been there. I know I even do it sometimes here too during the Zoom test kitchen. But yes, so again, you'll also see that it has the 8 inputs, but now we are, if I'm not mistaken, we are now up to 3 HDMI outputs, not just 2 before. I would have to double check if that's the same or not. In my brain, I'm thinking that is new. Definitely what is new, and he did talk about it, is we've got 2 USB ports, and you'll notice that the one beside that is a Thunderbolt port. So what that now allows you to do is key and fill to come from the computer for graphics. So you no longer need an additional unit that had key and fill built into it by buying one of their Blackmagic units to be in the middle to actually get key and fill added to your ATEM Extreme ISO units. And of course, yes, this is still ISO based. The CF Express is an additional storage. You can actually use, just trying to remember all the stuff that Grant was talking about. So there you go. So there's all the different connectors. And yes, Robert, there's the XLRs sticking out of the back there.
And they're full size XLRs. They're not mini XLRs. They're full size.
Correct. So it is a little larger of a unit. It's a little thicker, but again, it might be a little longer than the current Extreme ISO model because again, they did pack in a lot more functionality and ports, right? Especially on the back. As far as the top is concerned, that is an entirely new layout, but it has a very similar spec to it. So here is the tech specs of it. So that is going to be the dent for our friends in the US. Oh, Johnny, sorry, you had a question. Now continue. I don't hear you, Johnny.
I've had a look on the website, and the A10 Mini Pro, A10 Mini Pro ISO are available. The A10 Mini Extreme is available. The A10 Mini Extreme ISO is not listed. And then there's the A10 Extreme ISO GT.
Yeah.
So
correct.
there's only one. There's all the products are HDMI bar one. So there's only the well, what's happened to all the non-HDMI versions? They're all the ones that have disappeared. But the A10 Mini Extreme is still available because it's still half the price of a new G2.
Correct. Yeah. So that's similar to the old style. So again, we can probably go into the back of that one. Yeah. So there's your difference of what the top had on the Extreme without the ISO. And there's the back. So you can see, yeah, I am right. We've gone up at least one HDMI port. We've gone up at least the Thunderbolt port, and your audio ATEM control is the gigabit. So we now get an additional 10 gigabit. Our mic inputs 1 and 2 have now gone to XLR, actually gone to combo jacks, which is awesome. So you have your choice of 1/4 inch or XLR. And the headphone jack has gone from 3.5 millimeter up to 1/4 inch jack. So good one, John. Thanks on that. That was a good way to compare. And again, different buttons. As I was making the comment about, and we're not going to hit that fade to black button anymore beside the auto button anymore on the new model. And yes, $995 versus $1995. So we went up $1,000 from the Extreme ISO. Now again, if you need the Extreme ISO, then by all means. But again, it allows you to have the isolated records. And of course, there was a lot of. Go ahead, Robert.
Is the additional price for the NDI output licenses?
Oh, aren't you being cute? Blackmagic and NDI do not exist together. The official answer is they are officially competing companies. And next time that we see a TriCaster built into a Blackmagic, I would be very shocked. Go ahead, Mr. Lord Zoom.
Sound.
Sound.
There's a
yes.
MADI interface allowing 32 channels of audio to be brought in. I think that's big.
Yeah. And again, it was one of those.
So you can really make use of their Fairlight audio editing then if you've got an ability to bring in all the sound. You almost start to wonder if the ME1 and the ME2 are not going to be replaced. Because if you take this and then you take the controllers, you can do an ME1 and ME2. I think you've got all the features there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just for everybody's sake, what John was talking about, there's the MADI SDI input. So that is the only SDI. That is not video. That is strictly for audio. So you can bring your audio in digitally over the MADI in, especially if you're running MADI already when it comes to your audio mixer on location. So that also takes away the need of actually running Dante at that particular point, because you could just need a MADI card instead of running Dante. So that allows you to just bring them in digitally there, and then you just assign the audio accordingly within the Fairlight that's built in. One thing I can't show you that was on the video was that Grant did mention that you could actually not only, because now they've given you the 3 outputs, you can actually, they're individually signable. What does that mean is that you can actually assign your, you don't have to force multi-view on any of the 3 ports unless you want to. Or you could actually have multi-view on all 3 ports if you wanted to. It's totally customizable too. You can assign a specific camera to each output, or, and this is the new feature, you can now show Fairlight dedicated on one of the outputs. So now you have the full audio digital mixer that normally you would have to go to the software control panel for on a PC. You now have the full capabilities of all the capabilities of the audio on it. You could actually have that up on a dedicated monitor. Go ahead, Tony.
I was just wondering, did they say anything about, since the ATEM Mini Pro is still in the pipeline, did they say anything about any new features to that?
Any new features to the ATEM Mini Pro? They did not talk about the ATEM Mini Pro at all, as far as features are concerned. The latest version, and I tried to upgrade to 9.7 today, because I noticed that 9.7 is the latest one for the ATEM switchers. And my ATEM Mini Pro would not go any higher than 9.5, I believe was the number. I'll actually just double check that right now as I speak to you. And let's see here. We are running 9.5.1 is the latest version that the ATEM Mini Pro model has. And I have 9.7 and it did not want to upgrade to 9.7, which tells me that there was no new firmware upgrade beyond 9.5.1 as far as features are concerned. And of course, if you are running 9.5.1, you can now do SRT streaming from the ATEM Mini Pro. So that is a big reason to upgrade to at least 9.5.1, especially if you are streaming from the encoder built into the ATEM Mini Pro.
Yeah, I'm going to check that right now. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tony. Let me just go back.
Like it's 9.63.
9. You were able to get 9.63 installed. Now you might have that as software, but what you have to double check is what the hardware has as a version.
Okay.
You want me to show you how to do that, or do you know?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Just 1 second, and I will screen share that for everybody. Okay. Screen share. All right. I'll start. There we go. Okay. Screen share for everybody. Okay. All right. So you should now see the ATEM Mini Pro interface. Robert, give me a thumbs up if you do. Excellent. Thank you. All right. So this is what you should be going into, Tony. I'll just move this out of my way so I can see. So you're in the ATEM setup software. And again, just to let you know, I'm running 9.7, which is the latest version of that. But when I actually click on here, you'll see it's going to connect up to my ATEM. And there's the latest version that I'm running. It doesn't want to, because even though I'm running 9.7, as soon as you go into here, it should automatically say, oh, there's an update, and it should update. And it doesn't want to. So that tells me that this is now the latest version, no matter if you're running the latest version of ATEM software control.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we're back.
I think for me, the two bombshells were the volume of stuff they added to DaVinci. I mean, it was just horrendous, as in good, a horrendous amount of extra features and abilities, and they've really taken it to the level of being a proper production studio, live studio production type environment where you can do video editing live. You've got a, did we mention it? You've got a CF Express slot in the back of this device. And there was also going to be a 2 gig version as well, which will have the 2 gig built in. And if you think that's not good enough, that's fine, because Blackmagic will be happy for you to take advantage of their cloud system and put all your storage on there. But what is really scary in the opportunities is, of course, that this recording is usable as soon as it's stored. As soon as the minute has been written, you can then go into the software and you can go and edit it. You can set markers and do playbacks. As soon as the recording's written to the device, that second you can then make use of it. You don't have to wait for it to finish. You don't have to wait for the whole event to stop before you're editing. You can edit live, which means you can run things. And the thing that really hit me, because I've always loved this with we have it with car cameras. You know, you don't know we're going to have a crash in a car, so what it does is it just records forever as you're driving along, just in case you have a crash, and then it will have the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes in its storage of what happened before, because what you need to know with a crash is what happened before the crash, not what happened afterwards. Now they've added that feature into this system as well, so that you can have cameras recording before you hit the record button. So they're like pre-recording. So when you hit the record button, you get so many seconds of extra, and I can't remember if you mentioned the number, you get so many seconds of extra recorded stuff before you hit the recording button. So this is all building up to the broadcast world and being able to run and gun. The phone, you probably know the iPhone, and I think you can do it on powerful Androids as well.
Yep.
Can be run as if it's a Blackmagic camera, and this can send its data up to the cloud, and you can pull that down live. Sorry, Zoom, shouldn't be really knocking you here, but now you don't have to bring a reporter in from Zoom. You can send a reporter off somewhere with their iPhone, and they can record, and they can send that straight into the studio, and it can be recorded and edited and used live as it comes in, because again, it's just going to come into the cloud as if it's another recording. They had a I wanted to send a beer to the bloke or woman who was sitting on the roof with a camera as part of this presentation, because they used the person on the roof with a camera as a example of a remote camera and how you could just pull that in straight away. So there's a lot of connectivity here, which is a really interesting way to see where they're going. And they've jumped again ahead. All these other companies have been coming along with these video switches. They've just taken it to another level again. And it's amazing what they were able to do, considering there was the only, and I thought that was amazing, the only big box that they released was either a ridiculous number of connections. Was it not 40? Was it 80 or something silly? The video switcher. And then they have a virtual version of the ME1.
Yeah.
So a software version of the ME1 that will run in the cloud that you can send all your information to. So for people who are using these ATEMs, and now and again you're going to get a deal or you're going to get an event and you think, oh, I need something bigger. Now there's the opportunity that there can be a virtual ATEM ME1/2 sort of spec running in the cloud that you could then send all your data up to and then process it. Or as you said, you could be in a hotel and you only need an internet connection and you can connect to all this stuff because it's all virtually everywhere now connected through the cloud. It's taken everything to, it's just a big, very big jump. And it was amazing that they talked about so much stuff and yet there were so many products they didn't even mention or didn't talk about and didn't offer anything for. They've got so many in their camera range and yet they only really had a passing comments. I've never heard 2 hours of content have so much in it. I've been watching the internet feeds on YouTube and all the all the influencers are in this rain and all doing their own comments about it. It would probably take me, I'm not going to carry on in it much longer than this, don't worry. It would probably take me 4 or 5 hours to pick apart what they gave in the 2 hours because there was so much, even just little things that, we've got focusing control now. We're actually starting to build focusing control into our cameras. I never thought I was going to hear that from Blackmagic. I thought focusing was something they didn't do because they don't do lenses as a rule, so they were never going to get the tech to do lenses to do the autofocus. But now there's an autofocus software product coming into some of the cameras and the full frame cameras. Maybe it'll come into others. We'll have to see. But well done, Blackmagic. You've just taken the whole world to another level again. Thank you for doing that. It was worth waiting. I've got a very big bank balance and I really haven't got a clue what I'm going to spend it on now.
Yes. John's budget has just went. So John and I were talking quite a bit during the actual broadcast of when Grant was doing the Blackmagic stuff, and we're going, oh, isn't that cool? Oh, isn't that cool? Oh, isn't that cool? So during the majority of the event, so definitely if you have some time, there is a lot of individual information in there, but it is 2 hours of time. I will warn you. It's not something to actually it's not something to skim through because there are a lot of little tidbits that Grant was dropping here and there and everywhere, including that some of the stuff that John was talking about is some of it is still in beta. So that is related to the Zoom Cloud functionality. Zoom Cloud right now is still at the point of you can still collaborate, and all those features that Zoom Cloud has been up to for the last year, if not two, are still in place. The new one will be, and we haven't talked about this unit either, but they are revamping all the encoders. So all the streaming individual Zoom streaming encoders now, they're calling them Zoom streaming encoders, where they used to be called web presenters. The Zoom web presenters are now getting rebranded to be calling Zoom stream encoders, and they're also made a stream decoder. And this decoder is now going to be used so you could actually bring in the feed from the cloud down into the decoder, and that decoder now can be used into anything you want because it has SDI and HDMI outputs. And I'll show that in a minute as well. And there are other units as well if you need additional ports. And this is going back to what Tony asked us, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. These are SDI based, but they're not HDMI based. These are SDI baby video hubs. I would call them baby video hubs, where basically if you need it to be a 4 in, 1 out scenario, or 4 in, I think, John, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll have this side up there. 4 in, 2 out, I think was the baby. Then I think they went up to 6, and then they went up to 8. And the
You're talking about the video hubs.
Yeah, the new
So
baby
4x2 12G, 6x2 12G, and then 8x4 12G.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's 4 in, 2 out, 6 in, 2 out, and then 8 in, 4 out.
Correct. And Roland, hello, Roland on YouTube. Yes, your answer to your question is Blackmagic Cloud, not Zoom. Correct. This is where you're talking about. This is, yeah, we've pivoted from, we're talking about right now the new Blackmagic launch today that they're about to show off everybody at NAB within the next couple of days. at their booth. So Grant did well over 2 hours video online on YouTube for everybody to watch. And again, I do encourage it. There are a lot of little sneak of this and drop here and a drop there of this and showing this and showing that. And if you've watched any of Grant's videos before, this is the first thing that I know John and I noticed was that he usually spends a lot of time hooking up things to show things off. He didn't have enough time to do that. He basically showed the unit, then took the unit away, and then brought a unit that already was hooked up and went, let's play. So he didn't even want to spend time doing that. And that even took, so that just lets you know that the 2 hours were jam packed. He did not take a breather, that boy. He was a very, very busy boy doing stuff.
But this could all work really well in Zoom though, couldn't it? I mean, you can
Yes.
you can stream from Zoom into this, and then you can take outputs from this and put it back into Zoom. So this will all
Absolutely.
work beautifully with Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, because specifically with the model we've been talking about right now is the new ATEM Extreme ISO. For those people that are just joining, ATEM Extreme ISO G2. That model actually has the 2 USB outs that you could easily bring into Zoom without any issues, because not only can you hook up the webcam port, it also has a Thunderbolt port. And that Thunderbolt port, I don't think Grant even got into the full capabilities of what that Thunderbolt port could actually do, but let's just say a lot. And it's its own dedicated port, as well as the USB-A, as well as the USB-B. So you can hook up an external hard drive still to one of the USB ports and also plug in a CF Express SD type card into the unit as well. So you have not only do you need to even use an external hard drive anymore on the USB port? No. You could actually just record everything on the CF Express card now. You have the choice, right? So, yeah, I heard that. Tony, go ahead.
I'm just curious. Since you are like me and you have the Pro, are you going to upgrade?
Oh, well, isn't that a tempting question? I was looking at the Extreme ISO. So that's half of my answer to that, Tony. Honestly, if they made this, and yes, I'm talking to you, Black Magic, I want an SDI version, because this is also something that Hasbach is actually asking us in Zoom chat as we speak. Is there an SDI version of G2? Currently, no. That was my only disappointment. So could this be the ultimate bridge between the ATEM Mini World and going into the Constellation rack mount as an 8U, as an 8-port Extreme, the SDI? Because they've already gotten an ATEM, let me do this right, ATEM SDI Extreme. So yes, I would like to see an ATEM SDI Extreme G2 is what I'm saying, version, so that we could actually get away from, as Robert was saying, we can get to the actual combo jack and such. Is it hard for them to do? I would envision it would probably be the same chassis, but it would be SDI ports out the back instead of being HDMI ports.
If I
You
can
can
try and
find the
answer that
SDI
question.
ports version. Sorry, Rob. You can find the SDI ports products on the site still, but you can't purchase them.
Oh, really? Interesting. I know that our dealers in Canada have been selling the SDI products. Did they get discontinued would be a question now. But they're still on the site, you're saying, John?
Yeah, I found them on some pages, but they weren't on the list to purchase.
Interesting.
Nothing was
That-
mentioned about the Ultimate range.
No, they should. Yeah, that's been doing really well for them. There was some talk about that, but I think that was when they were talking about all the and when I mean all of the new features in DaVinci Resolve 20, version 20 that got released today as well, which right now is free. And if you do have Studio, they are not charging you to upgrade to 20 right now. And Robert is guaranteed going to be asking me questions about DaVinci Resolve. And yes, there was translation stuff they added in 20, by the way, that you might or might not like, depending. I don't know how well they did on that.
And AI
but that
voices.
was one thing. And the AI voices that are now going to be built into DaVinci Resolve 20. But yeah, I think they brought up that product, John, during when they're talking about the DaVinci Resolve stuff. Go ahead, Robert.
Is the new ATEM Mini Extreme ISO G2 still 1080p?
Correct.
So they're looking at keeping this series to 1080p, and then the constellations are from 4K.
Yeah, and the way he said it as well, he sort of put some emphasis on the fact it was HD, not 4K.
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah. I think it comes down to the cost point at that particular point, Robert, and it would also start to eat into things at the higher level, right?
Yeah,
he's got to be careful
that seems to be the demarker at the moment, the resolution. But to try and answer Tony's question from my point of view, will I be buying one? I will be looking at it for two reasons. One is the XLR audio, because so far I've done all of my audio outside of the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. And of course, that has all the implications of having it out of sync and making sure that you can figure out how to put in delays where you need it. The other thing that really appeals to me is the fact that you can you have a different way of recording than using SDT on a USB port, because that's always been the tricky part with the ATEMs, because they have a very limited range of SDD cards that you can, drives that you can use, because they require such high speeds. And I've got to admit that my Kingstons have died on me, and they were doing really well, and they've just died on me, which is really, really annoying. And so this option is, when I look at the price of it, I say, if I have to replace the Kingstons, that's $500 in itself. So I'm just really adding another $495 onto it to get the XLR ports. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
Omar is here.
Omar is here, yes. And Omar, I'm so sorry. I'm a one-man band right now, so I did not recognize your name again. But everybody, yes, Omar tried to log in, and I'm sorry, and I'm letting him in. And say hi to everybody, Omar.
Here I am. Thanks for letting me in.
Of course. So Omar is telling everybody in YouTube chat that he's got something to tell us, especially before the infamous NAB. So pile in by all means. Black Magic has been, we've been talking about Black Magic for NAB, and of course Andy and all the gang at Liminal just dropped a whole bunch of stuff while we've been live too. So by all means,
our
audience is ready for you.
I missed the liminal stuff, so I should probably look at that. That's probably pertinent to what I've been working on. A couple weeks ago, for those that are watching, I talked about my Zoom Rooms controller that I'm working on. I'm still working on it. I'm trying to work through some issues I've had, so it's still not released to anybody. There's a wait list on my website if you guys want to check that out. But I'm actually working on something else, and this is what I put in the YouTube chat. Is I'm going to NAB next week, and I have a private group of Zoom people that I'm going to be streaming to. But we all know that it's a really contested cellular environment at NAB, so I don't know how it's going to work. But I have a streaming backpack here, and I did a little bit of testing yesterday with some folks over at Office Hours in the After Hours community, which I know there's some crossover here. But I'd like to show you guys and see how it works. So basically what I've got is like an IRL streaming setup. So you've got like the Sony Cam. A lot of IRL streamers use this right here. And it's going into this backpack right here. And I dare not show you what's in the backpack because it's just in like a little Sterilite container and it's all looking kind of crunchy in there. But that's got a bonding encoder in there. I'm sending that up to the relay server. I'm pushing it down to SRT to my local instance here in the office. And I can bring that into Zoom. So people in Zoom can see it. Now, the other piece of the puzzle is getting an IFB back to myself with the real-time conversation from Zoom. So I've taken the Zoom audio from the meeting, routed it into a Discord. So it takes out my audio from the bonded encoder, which you'll be hearing me from, and it sends it into like a private Discord. I could also send it into like a Google Meet, and I could dial in with a telephone line then. So if there's a terrible connection, I might still be able to talk to you guys. And I'd like to try that now with you guys. If you guys want to go outside my office here, we'll see how it goes. So there's about 2.5 seconds of latency. So the conversation, and you've seen this in, with any kind of satellite coverage where you have to wait until somebody stops speaking and hear. But there's going to be a little bit of gap there. And that's just something you navigate with this type of setup. That's not real time, but let's try it, shall we?
Absolutely. We are the test kitchen, so let's break the test.
I like testing here. I like to do live demos that I haven't really tested too much. So I'm a bit of a masochist in that way. And it's a really janky setup. I would never really use this in a professional environment, but it's a private group that I'm doing too. There's not a lot of stakes. I have used the encoder that I'm using a few other times and some other semi-professional stuff. And it works pretty good, but again, I just have no idea what it's really like on the show floor in terms of using the connections. I do have a connection from T-Mobile here in the United States, so I have a T-Mobile, I have an AT&T, and I have a Verizon, so I have all three. It's only 3 connections, not more. I probably will need more, but I can adjust the bit rate. I'll be sending you guys 1080-60 or maybe 1080-30. Sorry, 1080-30, but I could drop it down to 720-30 or something like that, and it probably won't matter too much in that case. So
Mark, just before you run off, I just wanted to make sure you haven't shrunk a Tesla and put it into your backpack, have you? Because that seems to have all of the options that you're referring to.
Yeah, it is. It's run all by like just lithium ion, standard battery chargers. So it's not too far off. Maybe a couple. The scale is maybe a little bit smaller, but it's really messy in here. But it looks so ridiculous.
That looked really clean.
That was clean, but this is not clean. It's in there. Everything's kind of in this little chunky Sterilite thing. I've screwed some fans on and stuff to keep it a little bit cool. And then all the modems and the batteries and everything are in there. And it runs around 65. The board that I'm using runs around 65 degrees Celsius. So, and I could go for about, 8 hours on it. So it's a long runtime because everything's pretty low power. So let's see. Here's the feed. I'll switch over to it first so you guys can see. There's the feed in my office right now. I'm still on my. You would have heard some looping audio there for a minute, but I'm still on my my desktop mic here. But maybe I can do it. You'll see the sync will be off a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that it's off, but I'm going to switch over to this mic now. And it's just the onboard mic, so it's not going to sound particularly good, but maybe I'll try to do some like DJI mics or something like that.
All right. As Omar switches over, I'll leave the video up so that everybody can see it. There you go. Yeah, gotcha.
Yep, and then let me get my IFB going, and I'll walk outside and take you into the parking lot. I'm here in Southern California today, so.
Okay. Yeah. Losing your audio a little bit, Omar.
Which
yeah.
That's probably going to happen pretty close to it. It's not a flattering angle, but this mic isn't particularly good.
Yeah, the audio, Omar, if you can hear me, the audio is quite low compared to what your audio was before on the other mic.
Let me boost it here. Give me a sec.
Yeah, you might want to try original sound. It's treating you as background noise.
I'll try that. One sec.
Okay. All right, I'll keep talking here as Elmar is fixing things and. All right.
Still working on it.
All righty. Oh, lost
I'll-
video
I'll
there.
Sorry, I'll quickly fade back here while I get this trying to get working.
Okay.
Let's see. So you think it's original audio? We go to audio settings. Let's see, what do I have it as now? I personalized audio isolation. You think original sound for musicians is a better option here?
Quite possibly, because the way that it was coming across to us, it was taking out a lot of the background.
Okay.
It was very
try that
thin.
here. Let's see if I can switch over.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Is any better?
It's loud. It's loud. It's good.
Yeah, not as it's not going to be as clean as the SM50 or the SM7B, but it's more it's got a lot of mid and high in it. Not Mike.
Okay, well, I can hear you guys now on my on my Discord call.
Okay, test.
My backpack on. Test.
All right.
I'm gonna take you guys outside here.
Oh, sorry. Do I need to put my
Basically in
coat
an
on?
industrial park.
Oh no, I don't. It's lovely out there.
No, it's nice out. You can see. Yeah, it is. So here we are. This is the parking lot. Some plumbers there. That's our old work van we use. And I don't know. This is me. Let's pretend we got the Black Magic booth right there.
Yeah, so you have to go check out the
How are we
new
looking and
Extreme
how are we sounding?
ISO. Yeah, we hear you good.
Yeah, there's a bit of wind here. I don't have a windscreen on, so I'll try to walk in the direction without wind.
Well,
And the
speaking of-
conversation, I think, is what we would notice is a little bit awkward. Got a Cybertruck.
Yeah,
There's
we
about
noticed.
a 2-second delay from when I stop speaking and before somebody else. So, you know, it's easy to step on somebody's words, and I'm not very good at it, to be honest with you. But oh, what do you guys think? Is this passable?
It looks clean. The only thing I can say, Omar, is there's a clanking sound as if there's a buckle from your rucksack that's hitting the camera stand or the microphone on the camera.
Yeah,
Oh, that's clean.
Yeah,
That's
I was
gone.
just letting stuff bang around, cords and cables.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's clean now. It's good. It's amazing. It's good.
It's not too bad, huh? The wind noise, if it picks up, is a little bit rough, but I won't have that issue at NAB, obviously.
Yeah, you won't have the issue inside. Where it would be more of a better test is how much cell phone interference are you having in that area? Is it quite heavily cell?
Yeah. Yes, NAB is super contested for cell reception. I was there last year. I didn't stream, but I could just recognize it was pretty bad just using my phone as I normally would. But I have 3 connections here. I'm doing about 8,000 kilobits right now to you guys. And I could probably drop that down to 2,000 and get a pretty good feed at 720, 30, which would be sufficient for just the private Zoom group that I'm gonna try to do this to.
Right. Yeah. Omar, I would actually cut it in half. I would go to about 4.5.
Yeah, so it's dynamic. I could definitely do be optimistic and try to get 4.5. I'll probably set it to 8,000, and it'll push out as much as it can give. So it'll adapt to it. It's an adaptive bit rate.
Yeah, as long as you've got the headroom on your bonded cell plans that you got, you should be fine. Because what we would be
Yeah,
more of a concern
the
is
things
once
I'm
you're in
gonna try
that
to do-
building.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I've been there and I could tell it's pretty bad based on my just using my phone. The one issue with the way I have it right now, I'm gonna try to use some like DJI mics or some cheap Rode wireless mics or something like that, so I could talk to people. But I could put it down, but as soon as I get too far away from this, the audio is just not that good. So I'll probably try to do that, but I can also, another thing too, is I was thinking I might plug in some of the cameras. They have all the cameras on demo from Blackmagic, Sony, Panasonic, Canon. So if the people there will let me plug in a HDMI cable to the output, maybe I can get some shots that way and let people see what the image looks like, which I think would be pretty cool. But for ad hoc, it's not too bad.
Now, are you going to be going to see the Zoom booth? They are going to be with Quick Link.
Okay, I didn't know that. They're at the Quick Link booth. Do you know what hall that's
Yes.
in by any chance?
Off the top of my head, I do not, but that should be easy for you to find. We were as far as John and I were concerned, among the Zoom events crew, we were actually sent that information. Oh, and you're back.
If I can just make a suggestion, that is really impressive. I'm really impressed. That is really cool. If you manage to manage the internet connection properly, then you should be good to go. But one of the things that we experienced last year, and this is maybe something that you'd like to think about, is if you use the isolation function in Zoom, you get the speaker only, and you sort of lose the atmosphere of NAB. So one of the things that we talked about afterwards was maybe you need to have two mics. One's just collecting the ambient sound, which you can adjust separately from the mic you're using to speak. Yeah, so that you can play with that. That's just, if I can share my 2 cents with you, that's what I'd say.
Yeah,
and
and
you're
I-
1,000% right. It would sound a lot better.
yeah, and Omar, if you did do that, I would actually go opposite. So what I would do is actually get one of those like shotgun mics and point it behind your camera, not in front of you. Because again, if you're going to be talking at the camera, you don't want the shotgun to pick it up, right? You just want the crowd noise. You don't want what's in front of you. That's where your Rode mics would pick that up.
Yeah, I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. So this one has like a little terrible 3.5 millimeter jack right there. I could use that. It's notoriously bad, as I mean, even for a 3.5 millimeter unbalanced input. I could maybe do some USB audio. I think I can do USB audio into the encoder itself. So I might try that. I have some DJI mics I'll probably test later this evening. But I think the main thing is if I talk to a rep and people want to ask questions, just being able to snap on one of those Rodes or one of those DJI mics, even though I hate the way it looks, it's just so easy, and like people aren't adverse to it. So I think I might try to do that. I just don't know how the 2.4 gigahertz is going to work there either on those wireless. I'll be pretty close. So I would hope maybe,
yeah.
Who knows, but
Omar, what you might want to do is the Rode Wireless Go does actually have an interview wand add-on. If you wanted to use the actual, instead of actually putting it on the person, again,
Yeah,
taking into consideration potential COVID related scenarios there, you could actually put the wireless, it fits on a special wand, and you can actually, and it puts a windsock on top and hides it. So it turns itself into like an interview mic.
yeah, I have a lot of stuff in there. I can, I have all that stuff. You know, my big thing here is like, is that I'm trying to be so like lightweight and nimble and easy and not have to think about doing a lot of things, because my purpose of the trip isn't to do this, it's to do other stuff and have some meetings and things like that. But this is a nice little add-on, so I'm really trying to figure out what is the easiest way to for me to manage 2 channels of audio and stuff. Starts to get my brain starts to go into production rather than in conversation, which this is really a more of a fly in the wall type thing. But I do need to solve the issue, because as soon as I get more than 2 feet away from this, I'll have to just really shove this in people's face for anybody to be heard. And it'll sound okay, but with a bunch of ambient room noise and people chattering about, like it can get pretty overwhelming for the people on Zoom, I can imagine. But yeah, those are all very good suggestions, and I think I'll try to find maybe a balance between the 2 things.
Yeah, because again, what they will do too is a lot of the microphones that you would use at higher volume events start to come into play there too, if you really wanted to get specific with that, of course. But that's going, again, overkill, right?
Yeah, I have some like deity theos, like UHF laws I could probably figure out to, connect them to this. I don't know, there's no mounting points, but I could bongo tie it or something. I could start getting real weird with it. But yeah, now I'm dealing with, the managing batteries on the Theos, or I have some Sennheiser G4s. I could use those, now I'm managing batteries on that. And that's, I don't know. Now I'm looking for the right UHF channel that maybe is open and not congested itself, and there probably is one, but maybe there's not, and then what? And I don't know. I was really trying to keep like my brain on other stuff, but I do want to bring a couple people into the show floor, so I'll try to
Omar,
do that.
tell us where we can watch you. I think that's the most important point.
Well, I was just going to do it to a private group of people, but maybe I might try to do something to like after hours, that community, on the office hours community, if people are familiar with that. Maybe I'll log in there. I'll try to put something in Discord. I'll put it in the Zoom Test Kitchen Discord if I decide to do it there. I'm there on Monday all day, and then I'm there about a half day on Tuesday. So I might do it to the people that I have coordinated with already on Monday and see how that goes. And then maybe a larger group, I can log into after hours or something like that the day after, and maybe do that on Tuesday. But I'll put some stuff in Discord if I decide to do that. Or maybe I'll link up with some other people that have a channel and they want to do it. I mean, because my brain starts to go, right? I was like, well, okay, well, I'm doing this. I could just put this on my YouTube, and then I can I can bring in the active speaker from the Zoom chat, and then I'm like, I'm trying to like do all these things. I know this all sounds cool, but then now I'm running a show, and it starts getting a little bit much. But I was spinning. My head was spinning.
So apart from Black Magic and design, who else are you going to be, are you planning to speak with, Omar? Tell us who we should join up and listen to.
On the show floor, or
Yep. At NAB.
I don't have a huge network there at NAB. I'm just like anybody else. I'm going to see what's new. There's a couple of things I'd like to check out, a couple cameras I want to test with hands-on. So that's why I go. I end up chatting with people and meeting people, and that's all beneficial as well. There's a couple people. Andy at Zoom, I was going to try to meet up with him because I've been working on the Zoom Rooms controller. So I think having a good chat with him about that there, if he's around. But, it's really hard to meet up with people if you don't coordinate that ahead of time. And I haven't really coordinated too much. That's one of my weak points.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely let us know, Omar, in Discord. And again, if you wanted to, I'm pretty sure, and again, depending on how technical you want to go with this, you could actually probably broadcast to our Discord channel into our Discord room if you wanted to as well, into the server.
You have
we have a voice. I could always
channel.
I know we have a voice one, but I could always tell David to set up a video one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. So now I'm going because right now I'm going to vMix. I'm bringing the SRT feed into vMix, like from the bonding relay server. And then I'm sending that via NDI over to a NDI camera. So I could probably bring that same feed into the Discord and have that going. but I'm already using Discord. It might be a little bit complicated to go to another location. It's definitely possible, obviously, but yeah. And then to bring in, like, if some people in the Discord wanted to communicate, now there's two. There's a Zoom or a, but might be able to do something just to your Discord. I mean, that's possible for sure. That's an option.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know within Discord if you want, or then I can coordinate it with David and make sure that we have everything set up
Yeah,
for you.
but if I
to be
do,
able to connect.
if I do go live anywhere that's or not live, but onto a Zoom room of some sort that's accessible to many people, I'll put something in the Discord, and so just keep an eye out there, and that way people can join in if it works out to be that way. But I really appreciate you guys letting me test with you guys again. It's fun.
Oh,
Of course.
just so that I understand, if you do send out the link to the Zoom room, how do you want us to communicate with you and ask questions?
I mean, you just like we were doing outside. I was walking around
Okay.
and talking to you guys, So I mean, it would
Okay.
just be with the Zoom group, right? That's in my mind. I guess somebody could take that and stream it if they wanted to, but I don't know. I am very hesitant to like put it too public facing somewhere on YouTube that lives on, because I mean, it could be the choppiest thing you've ever seen and may just fail completely. So having not done it before, and I know that people are out there. There's some people with live views and 8 connections and doing all that type of stuff and prioritize data. I'm just a regular guy with my my consumer level 4G modems.
Yeah, Omar, what I'll say to you is that you probably won't be the only one. So
definitely
if you
not.
see other people that have, hats that are, might have, antennas sticking out of them, or, all kinds of weird and wonderful configurations. I know last year, if you took a look at some of the archive NAB content, you'll actually see some people that actually have done that. Oh yeah, there we go. We're seeing the insight.
I gotta reorganize, but but it's all going out of this.
Excellent.
Looks solid enough.
Rattles a bit. That's why you lost connection there a couple of times. I mean, it's using like an Elgato cam link and a bunch of other stuff too. So it's not like it's really super high end stuff. It's pretty low end. And
No, it was clear, and so the biggest thing would be audio would have to be for sure clear, and then video, of course, is going to be the next pain for you. And for what you walked around, and the question I did ask you when you're walking around, which I don't know if you understood me by or not, but I was wondering about the area that you're in currently. Is it a highly congested area of cell phone?
No, I'm in Orange County, California. It's about an hour south of Los Angeles, and just on a regular day like today, it's fine. You have full 5G off of every tower.
Right.
Down next to the water, which isn't too far away, the Pacific Ocean. I guess a little bit more congested, and one of the carriers goes down. I've streamed a lot from here. We have a surf show that we produce that we go live from the beach. So we've been on the coastline a lot. We've probably done about 100, or it's not 100, excuse me, about 60 streams from the beach here in Orange County. And each area is serviced better by certain towers and certain carriers. So but here where I am exactly is not the case. No, it's fine. So it was I think I could look at the data rates, and it was pushing out like 2,500 to 3,000 kilobits from each of the modems consistently. So it was
okay. So all 3 you're talking about there. That would have
correct.
been
Yeah. So it bounces all 3.
Yeah. So 9 megabit is what you're actually sending to Zoom. Or down to from that unit down to your location there was 9 megabit.
Yeah, I think I had it capped at 8,000. So it was, one might have been 3 and the other 2,500 each, but it dynamically changes across the
right.
The one I'm using is called Bella Box. I don't know if anybody's heard about it. it's a guy in England that developed it. He uses SRTLA, and a lot of just IRL streamers on Twitch, they'll use him as a low cost alternative to live view solos and stuff like that. And I've used his product for a couple of years, and it's definitely not professional grade, and there's a lot of like weirdness from it. But in certain circumstances, I've used it as a backup, and it's actually performed better with really, really low level, with really poor connections. So like 1,000 kilobits, like I've gotten a stream out to stay up. It didn't look very good, and it was pretty blocky and stuff, but it didn't drop. Where I have a Teradek bonded encoder that I've used that just dropped with the same bandwidth in the same location. So I failed over to the Bella box, but it's got other quarks, and I don't know if the infrastructure that he's hosting it on and his relay servers are quite as robust as LiveView. Well, definitely not. I could probably answer that. Yeah, this is the guy. I'll give him a plug because I like it. Yeah, I like his product. It's kind of cool. It's built on a Jetson Nano. It's like an NVIDIA board from I don't know, 3 or 4 year old NVIDIA board, but he's adapted it to this Orange Pi Plus and the Radza Rock. Those are the boards that you load it onto. And what it does is you plug in just consumer level modems to it, and it's pretty low cost. I mean, if you get all the modems, and you still have to pay for the data with your, Verizon or Orange in France or wherever you are, you still got to buy the data packs from them, and whether it's unlimited or not, that's all dependent on the deals you can get. But you plug them in and it uses either Ethernet or USB to transport to Tether, and then it'll dynamically send a bonded stream up to a relay server. He has one that he hosts, like he charges $10 a month for, or you could host your own if you're so inclined. But I like it for personal projects where I'm doing stuff myself and I don't feel like paying exorbitant live view costs, and I know that I'm just going to be doing kind of where everybody's in on it. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to be in on it when I'm using it. But I've had pretty good success, to be honest. So, but I've also had some weirdness too. So I'm hesitant to plug it too hard for proper productions.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there's the ISO G2 that I was talking about when Omar was coming in. So Omar, you get to see that live in a couple of days. He gets to touch it, buddy. Are we jealous?
I'm jealous that it's got the nice buttons on it, and I've got a bunch of the extremes and the pros with those little squishy buttons.
Yeah. So, Omar, are you familiar with the ATEM control panel model, which is the Bluetooth?
I saw it at NAB. I saw it at NAB last year, and I played around with it a little bit. And it's nice. I mostly just use a Stream Deck. I have an old broadcast panel if I'm doing a bigger show that I'll use. That still works perfectly fine. So I haven't upgraded to an advanced. But the mini panel, it felt pretty good, and it worked well. So I was.
And so that mini panel, does it have similar buttons like we're looking at? I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Yes, it does.
Oh.
It has the same ones as the advanced panel, and if you have like the front of the Constellation, those they're hard on the outside. They're not rubberized like the
right,
like these.
Right. Yeah. They're, as I would call it, they are the true broadcast buttons that are on there now. The broadcast switch buttons that you would see on actually quite expensive video switchers. Okay, so Omar, you get to see a lot of this stuff. So again, I was talking about DaVinci Resolve. So DaVinci Resolve 20, yes, you can now download that for free. So I'll just go quickly over these different ones. And here's the new Blackmagic Cloud Backup 8. And John and I love the accessory of this, which is they're actually making a plastic holder for the hard drives, so that it's very similar to us old guys that used to have the old plastic tape library of VHS and Betamax tapes that used to have the hard case to hold it. They actually are coming up with that in the for your hard drives. And there's the unit that actually John was talking about. This unit, this is the new Decklink IP 100 gig. So it's got two 100 gig Ethernet ports on it. And this is going to be quite interesting, the capabilities of what that unit will be able to do. This one he spent a lot of time of during the video and did a lot of demonstrations of. So this is the new Hyperdeck shuttle with a screen. So again, if you're familiar with the Hyperdeck shuttle HD, it's basically the right side of that portion without the screen. So now they've actually included the screen plus all the same buttons as the Hyperdeck original Hyperdeck shuttle HD, I think is that model. And then they came up with this is the 2110 IP up down cross 12G. So this is going to be the new. So this will allow you to take in 2110 and do anything with it. So it's either up, you're doing up, down, or cross on that regards. So if you want to change it to different resolutions and such, that will be in there, just like their normal up, down, cross models. But this is also 2110 IP going to 12G. And then they have, and this is the 2110 IP 12G converter boxes. So this is, John, I actually don't know if I remember seeing this one, but we might have. There again, a lot of them have the similar chassis, so he might have actually had that one there. But this is the one that I was talking about earlier. This is the new video hub minis. So if you need just a few extra ports to be routed into different locations, should it be, some of the examples he was giving was, so you already have a video coming out of your Extreme ISO Gen 2, let's say, coming out of the HDMI, you can actually come into this unit and actually convert it to SDI, and then you can actually hard code, because again, it's a 4-in, 2-out video hub. So it's a really baby video hub. And again, you will see in the picture there looks to be a little door that actually has a hidden USB port as well as an SDI port in there as well. So what it does is that if you do rack mount the actual unit and you need all of a sudden to last minute plug in something that's SDI or USB based, you can actually plug it in the front and the SDI itself will take over for port 4 in the back. So now it brings port 4 to the front or back. So you have your choice. In the other unit, the bigger unit, it would be 6, and then the biggest unit, it would be the port 8. So it's the last port out of those. And again, the 6x2 had the same 2 SDIs. Actually, let me just click on that one quickly. And go to tech specs. And you'll see, there you go. So there's the back of the 8x4. And let me see if, yeah, so there it is. So there's the 2. So it actually gives you input 8 and output 4 comes now to the front on the 8. So you have one input and one output if you need it last minute and it's already rack mounted. On the 6x2, you have your 1 in and 1 out. Again, input 6, output 2 now comes to the front and disables output 2 in the back. And then you have that choice. And the same with the 4x2, where you have just the one SDI in the front and you have a USB in the front. Now the USB is webcam based. So where was that here in the specs? Yeah, so there's the pictures of that there. Where was that? USB. Oh, it's up here. Yeah, there you go. Webcam output, USB-C. So officially your PC will see that USB if you do plug it in and all of a sudden you need a video being brought in to Zoom in this case, you could actually use this one unit to do so because it's its own webcam as well, as far as your PC will be concerned. All right. So that is the Blackmagic Video Hub Mini unit that I was talking about. Any questions on YouTube? Sorry, YouTube, I haven't been watching if you've been doing that because I've had to log into multiple screens. No questions from YouTube. Okay, all right, I'll continue here. All right, so the next one is, as I said earlier, they are now, the web presenter name is now dead. They are now replacing it with streaming encoder and decoder. And this is, again, what John and I were talking about earlier about, where you can actually now, in conjunction, eventually, coming soon, being able to bring from your constellation in the cloud, as they were using it, capabilities of bringing inputs, live inputs from their cloud service coming soon, and bringing it down to this streaming encoder and decoder. So this streaming encoder would replace the web presenters models. The streaming decoder will actually bring in from the actual, I got to do this right, not Zoom Cloud, from the actual Blackmagic Cloud. Omar, go ahead.
Yeah, was there any other update to that other than the change in name? It was just a change in name, right?
Correct.
I know
Yeah,
going
as
to
far
the
as-
cloud and stuff is just part of their using SRT or RTMP to get there, but the device itself remains the same. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. As far as the firmware is concerned, they didn't mention any updates in the streaming encoder, but the streaming decoder unit is all brand new.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so where they were really promoting in the video, the streaming decoder eventually will be that you could actually have inputs in there, in the, I got Zoom in my brain, Blackmagic Cloud, where you've got the inputs sitting in the cloud and you can now route them down to the decoder, and now they will come out the back end of this unit. And what I'll do is I'll just quickly click on to that so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about there on the decoder model. So you can see that the web presenter, yeah, so the web presenter 4K is still there. He did say that he's going to be basically, he didn't like the web presenter name. He didn't think that it properly represented the product properly, which we all agree. And what he's done now is he did come up with so this streaming encoder 4K, then there's the streaming decoder 4K. Yes, everybody, all the units are using the same type of chassis. The web presenter and the web presenter 4K, I'm not sure why they are still there, but I think it's just why they're still labeled as that, but I'm pretty sure that they will probably be eventually probably discontinued soon. Omar, go ahead while I look at get you the pictures here.
Yeah, I think they're probably just working on changing the name on the website. But I haven't used the Web Presenters product, but I've been hesitant. I've been in the market for some new encoders for a couple projects, and I've been hesitant to get a Web Presenter because, as I understand it, especially the 4K model, has had a lot of issues with buffering going to destinations like YouTube, which I do quite often. That's primarily where I go. So until I've seen that has been resolved across the board, I would be hesitant to purchase the web presenter. I haven't heard that many issues on the HD model, but the 4K model specifically, I've heard that from quite a few sources on YouTube and other private Discord groups that people have had that issue pretty often.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, Omar. I do not have any of these units to give you an actual, I've used it scenario, but what I can tell you is this: if you are going to the Blackmagic unit, make sure to ask. That would be my question going. So I've been hearing a lot of negative things towards the web presenter. Does that mean you guys are changing things? And you never know, because it could be that it could have been that maybe the actual CPU and such, as building the using the actual Banana Pi or whatever you're using within your BellaBox unit, right? That if the actual CPU and such that's doing the encoding isn't fast enough to actually being able to send out properly to YouTube, then of course there is going to be that scenario. And also too, if there's some sort of firmware issue within the old units, it very well easily could be that's why they might be discontinuing the name too, because they got a bad name. Right?
Definitely possible. I mean, Web Presenter does sound a little archaic, so I understand the change in name.
Yeah,
My experience too. Excuse me. My experience too at NAB is that there's two tiers of people that you meet at these booths. There's the people that are available and ready to talk, but there've been a lot of them have been hired just for that show, and they'll give you a product demo and stuff, but they don't actually have the answers. And then occasionally you'll have the people with the answers floating around, and you might find that one of the developers or somebody really in the know, and whether they'll say something to you publicly or privately or otherwise is another question. But you know, you gotta find the right person too at those booths.
Yeah. So Omar, the right person for Black Magic, if you've seen a lot of the influencers that go to the one specific guy, and I'm not remembering his name, but that's your guy to be going to because he's the head of product marketing for Black Magic. So yeah, just
the marketing guy's gonna give me all the truth.
Well, he's actually fairly technical. This guy, actually, he's the one that.
I know. I just.
Yeah, Robert, go ahead. Thank you, Robert. See you next week. Hopefully, you can join us again. And I'm just going to go quickly back to finish up the decoder back connection. So again, as you can see, you got your 12G SDI outs, you get your 12G SDI ins. You do have an HDMI out as well, and you do have a webcam out on the front, or on the back, sorry. You actually have the webcam out, and of course, it being a decoder, of course, it needs the live stream to come in from the internet or network, at least, anyways. So that was the related to the decoders. Let me just finish up. There's a couple more, and we'll be done here. So there's the new 4ME Constellation K4 Plus was brought out. Believe it or not in the video. He didn't actually play with this one too much. Oh no, sorry. Yes, he did. Sorry. Yes, this is the one. Let me just show you this one. And my first impression when I saw this one was that they ended up using, if you take a look at their regular 4K layout, and then you look at so this is the 4K Constellation ME. So let me do that again. ATEM 4ME Constellation 4K. They got requested, says Grant, for got to give me more ports. It's not big enough. So he says, okay. So he made a plus. So as you can see, it's just grown. And now we're all the way from 24 ports, 12 GSDI, to now 48 ports, 12 GSDI. But as you can see, they actually reused the actual front plate, and they did not make anything bigger in the regards of the amount of buttons and such between the two units. It's just basically the amount of physical ports that are actually on the back. So if I scroll down here, you'll see there's the front, and then there's the massive back on this unit. Now, with all the different ports, redundant power, you've got a talkback Ethernet, you've got a control Ethernet, you've got USB out. I don't know if the 8K Constellation actually had a USB or not, but this one actually has a USB out. There's all kinds of MADI ins and outs. Of course, 48 inputs, and I'm going to remember this off the top of my head, I swear. It's 48 inputs, and 48. Let me do this right. We've got how many inputs and how many outputs? Yeah, 4 DVEs,
12 SDI inputs, same as the old 4K, but 48 outputs, which is twice it was on the previous Constellation 4K.
Perfect, Johnny. Thank you.
16 ATEM advanced keys, same as before. 4 multi-views, same as before. 2 super source, same as before. 12 DVEs, same as before. So it's just the number of outputs that's been doubled, but for large productions, that's a big change.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So that is one of the big ones. And again, of course, you see the big price tag. And again, I've been showing the on purpose, even though I'm based in Canada, I've been purposely showing all the US pricing as I've been going through things here. And we'll go back one more time and then we'll go to, so there's the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO G2. So this, if you have any of the Blackmagic cameras and you want to have a closer, as you can see, they want to nicely pair it up right beside the ATEM Mini Extreme G2, ATEM Mini Extreme ISO G2. I got to do all the names right there. They also want you to pair that up, obviously, with the ATEM micro camera panel. So now you can actually bring all the software control functionality that you have in the software now to a piece of hardware. That one was another one that he showed off. And then, of course, yes, and David made fun of this in the beginning, but yes, if you still use 8mm or 6mm film, then definitely they made a brand new Cintel Scanner G3 HDR that will take either 8mm or 16mm and allow you to do a lot of transfer. But this was the, if you're familiar with their, I'm not sure how to say that camera name, Pyrus, I think, is what they're saying. Pyrus Pro?
The Pixis.
Pixis Pro. Thanks, Omar. Pixis Pro handle. Yeah, so now they've added a handle and a few other attachments so that you can now turn that camera unit into more of a run and gun type camera. Not for Omar's gig this time around, but you know, maybe in the future. Who knows? He has to talk to Blackmagic and see what kind of deal he gets. Maybe he gets a better deal than $895. But that is officially what they're.
A little cinema camcorder is what they're trying to do there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the major at a very high level. And again, of course, go to Blackmagic Designs website for more details. I just went over some of the ones that I know that might be useful to most of our Zoom Test Kitchen community, but there's all kinds of wonderful things to be coming out from Blackmagic at NAB, which Omar is going to be the lucky one out of us today that'll have a chance to check that out locally himself.
I'll be there.
He'll be there. Very cool. All right. And okay, so I'll just check back with the YouTube crowd. Again, anybody in the YouTube audience has any questions for us, by all means, let us know in chat. And we're still taking questions and answers quickly before we wrap up for this week. I know it's been a long one, but if you do have any quick questions before we disappear, by all means, let us know in chat, and John and I will do our best to answer for you. Again, it could be regular Zoom related or even Zoom sessions or Zoom events, questions related. And of course, now that you saw that Liminal is changing a few things, we could talk to you a little more about Zoom sessions, I guess 50 PPA, John, maybe, for those people that are now contemplating doing the move to actually getting Zoom sessions, since Liminal will be no longer being able to have it being bought directly from Liminal's website.
Yeah, they officially end at the end of the year. That's when the licenses finish.
Okay, so this is the, if you have non-Zoom sessions license, correct?
Yep. Yeah, at the end of the year, they'll be cancelling the contract with FastSpring, who are doing all the licensing.
Okay.
It's on the website if you
it is
dig around.
Okay. Yeah, actually, let me do that quickly before we wrap up here. I'll just pull up Liminal's website. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, if you go to the home page, and then there's a see details of upcoming end of sale in
Yep.
highlight.
All righty, here we go. If I did it right, there we go. There we are. We're on Luminal's. So where was it, John?
That red
Right there.
see details. That's it.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So we're announcing the upcoming end of sale for licenses. Yeah. So right there. So we're moving it to Zoom Events platform for Zoom ISO or Zoom OSC in 2026. Okay, we expect to introduce new versions of the Liminal apps later this year, 2025, that do not support Liminal Web Store licenses. Okay, so that's also important for all our Zoom Test Kitchen community. So potentially the new software that David showed us earlier from Liminal may, and I'll use quotation marks, not be available to be bought from the Liminal Web Store. We would need confirmation from our good friend Andy on that. And there's what John was also referencing too. So as of January 1st, that they're going to cancel all Fast Spring subscription renewals through the Fast Spring subscription service company that they've been using when they started Liminal. All right. And there's the graphics toolkit one that David showed us earlier. And as you can see, yeah, and then again, purposely, they actually are showing a bit of, there's Josh during Zoomtopia in the video, in the screenshot there. You can see all the different reactions and the actual text coming from the Zoom chat information at minimal gonna happen there by the looks of it. John, I'm guessing that as a developer, you're going to eventually have access, or you already do have access to some of this?
I can copy this if you in as a developer, yes. So any developer could do this sort of thing. It's called camera mode for those that want to investigate it. So what it involves is overlaying content, HTML-like content over the camera picture, so that when that video goes out to other people, they would see you and the overlays. You can also set the background as well. If you go transparent, you can set the background. Obviously, if you haven't got a transparency on there, the backgrounds, you can change the background, but no one would see it.
Right, John. So
there are a number of apps already on the App Store that do various things, lower thirds and this sort of thing. And yeah, and there are a lot of other people, of course, who use web-based tools like this, and they just superimpose them by mixing them in using OBS and all the other video mixing products.
Right. So it looks like it's going to be some sort of.
I would think he would like the opportunity to come and present it to us himself. I would expect.
Yeah.
I would expect to visit.
Yeah, and Andy, that is obviously an invitation. I don't know if you've already spoken to David about that or not. I know you will be a busy boy at NAB this coming week, so good luck to you, sir, if you are still watching us. But looks very intriguing. Okay. All right, and good news for us Windows guys. Windows is going to be included for this one. So it's not going to be strictly Mac OS. So that's a good sign. again, if it is strictly, John, going after HTML and CSS, that can pretty much be built anywhere, really. It's just the interface that they're going to be probably using.
Frankly, yes. If you take some of the apps that are on the App Store, I'm not insulting them by saying this. I'm not trying to insult them by saying this, but if you think some of the products that are there already, it's not too complicated to port some of the basic stuff across to run as an app within Zoom. If you use this effectively HTML overlay type approach, which is what WebView is. Right. And it looks like it's going to be similar sort of look like this screenshot here in the end. And that looks like that. Oh, that's showing a poll in that picture. Let me see if I can actually make that, get that poll any bigger here. There you go. Yes, I'm really blowing that up quite a bit, but as you can see, there's the poll information and such being overlaid over top of the actual video itself. Very, very interesting. All right. Final call to the YouTube audience. If you have any questions for John and I, do let us know in chat. If not, we'll wrap it up for this week's episode of the Zoom Test Kitchen very, very soon. All right. Our fans on YouTube are very, very quiet, John. So I think it's time to wrap it up. And we're going to wrap it up with a tune, our Zoom Test Kitchen tune. And I'm choosing this week, by popular demand, the quote unquote deep house version of the song. So, all right. So enjoy.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week, from audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab, and make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drag. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with the zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week, from audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks, we'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions. We'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. Audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck.
All right. On that note, thanks everyone for joining us this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to let YouTube know how much you like our content. And every like and subscription matters. Don't forget, we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget, we're here everywhere. We're here next week again. Yes, let me say this properly here now. See everyone next week for another edition